The Forge World Metallica 7 was having a very bad millennium. Its sacred STCs had been corrupted by a Slaanesh cult, turning holy manufacturing templates into something else. Something that produced weapons designed to cause pleasure alongside pain, armor that felt good to wear, and machinery that moaned when activated. The Mechanicus was horrified. Alucard was delighted. "This is amazing," he said, examining a corrupted cogitator that pulsed with pink warp energy. "Look at this thing. It's practically throbbing with corruption, very organic, very sensual." Magos Theta 7, Gamma stood as far from the vampire as the workshop allowed. The corruption must be purged. The machine spirits are suffering. Are they, though? Alucard ran his hand along the cogitator's surface, which actually shivered under his touch. "Because from where I'm standing, this machine looks like it's having the time of its life. Very responsive, very sensitive." "That is the corruption," the Magos insisted, his Vox units crackling with distress. "The Slaanesh cult has perverted the sacred technology, made it feel. This is abomination." "Or innovation," Alucard suggested cheerfully. "Think about it. Machinery that enjoys being used, that responds to touch, that gets excited when you activate it. It's very advanced, very interactive." Sister Carmilla, standing guard at the doorway, closed her eyes and prayed for patience. "Can you please stop making the corrupted technology sound appealing?" "I'm not making it sound appealing. It is appealing. Look at this." He pressed a button, and the cogitator made a sound that was definitely not standard Imperial technology. "See? Responsive, enthusiastic, really gets into it. That is a corrupted machine spirit in agony," the Magos protested. "That's a corrupted machine spirit having a great time," Alucard corrected. "There's a difference. Although I'll admit, with Slaanesh, the line between agony and ecstasy gets pretty blurry." Inquisitor Vex entered the workshop, took one look at the pulsing, moaning machinery, and immediately regretted his life choices. "Status report. The corruption is extensive," the Magos reported. 70% of our manufacturing templates have been compromised. The cult infiltrated our systems and touched everything. "They really got in there," Alucard agreed, still examining the cogitator. "Very thorough, very deep, really penetrated your defenses. Must have been working on this for months, years even. That's dedication. That's passion." "Can you stop describing the corruption in those terms?" Vex asked tiredly. "What terms? I'm being technical." Alucard grinned. "The cult infiltrated your systems, penetrated your security, and thoroughly corrupted your sacred technology through sustained exposure to chaos energy. All very factual. Not my fault it sounds sexy." Carmilla made a noise that might have been a strangled scream or a prayer, possibly both. "So, what's the plan?" Alucard asked, turning to Vex. "Do we purge the cultists? Cleanse the technology? Both? Because I'm up for whatever. Very flexible, very adaptable." "We locate the cult's central node," Vex explained, pulling up a hololith of the Forge world. "According to intelligence, they've established a temple in the lower manufactorums. That's where they're coordinating the corruption." "A temple," Alucard repeated, "to Slaanesh, in a Forge world. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Lots of corrupted machinery, lots of cultists who think excess is virtuous, lots of opportunities to make everyone uncomfortable. The Mechanicus wants this handled quietly," Vex stressed. "No widespread destruction, no enthusiastic walks." Alucard looked disappointed. "That's boring, but fine. Quiet it is. I can do quiet. I'm very good at being discreet." "You are the least discreet being I've ever encountered," Carmilla said flatly. "That's what makes my discretion so surprising." He holstered his guns. He'd been absently cleaning them throughout the conversation. "So, stealth mission, into a pleasure cult's temple to purge corruption. This won't be weird at all." It will be extremely weird, Vex predicted. Then I'll fit right in. Alucard grinned at Carmilla. Want to come, sister? Could be fun. Lots of heretics to shoot. Probably some corrupted machinery to destroy. Quality bonding time. I'm not bonding with you. You say that, but we've fought demons together, survived betrayals together. You even carried me once after I regenerated from being atomized. That's basically a relationship. That is not. We'll discuss our relationship status later, Alucard interrupted. Right now, we have a pleasure cult to infiltrate. Everyone gear up. Bring your best weapons and maybe some holy water or whatever you use to cleanse Slaanesh corruption. 2 hours later, they stood outside the cult's temple, a massive structure of twisted metal and corrupted machinery that pulsed with pink energy. Music echoed from within, discordant and alluring. That's unsettling, Carmilla observed. That's foreplay, Alucard corrected. They're setting the mood, very atmospheric. I approve of the effort, even if the execution is heretical. We need to breach the entrance, Vex said, studying the sealed doors. Quietly, without alerting, Alucard kicked the door open. Hello, he shouted into the temple. I'm a vampire. I'm here to ruin your cult. Please form an orderly line for killing. That's not quiet, Carmilla hissed, but it's honest. Alucard drew his guns. And honestly, these Slaanesh cultists need to know what they're up against. Specifically, a 500-year-old vampire who's way more experienced with excess than they'll ever be. Cultists poured out of the temple, humans in Baroque armor, weapons that looked like they'd been designed by someone with very specific fetishes, faces painted in elaborate patterns. The lead cultist, a woman in armor that covered nothing important and everything else, stepped forward. A vampire? How? Delicious. Have you come to join us? To experience true pleasure? Oh, honey, Alucard said, his grin sharp. I've experienced pleasures you can't even imagine. I'm 500 years old. I've been to orgies that would make your cult look like a church social. And you know what I learned? He raised both guns. They're all boring compared to violence. He opened fire. The cultist's head exploded in a spray of blood and brain matter. Well, Carmilla said, moving to cover. So much for stealth. Stealth is overrated. Alucard shot 3 more cultists. Direct confrontation is much more satisfying, really gets the blood pumping, literally. The cultists charged, weapons raised. Alucard met them with equal enthusiasm, shooting, dodging, making inappropriate comments the entire time. Ooh, you're very aggressive, he said to one cultist trying to stab him. I like that. Very forward, but you're not really my type. Too much leather, not enough personal boundaries. He shot the cultist, then turned to the next one. And you, nice whip, very evocative, but you're telegraphing your swings. Need to be more subtle with your bondage weapons. Can you please stop critiquing their technique? Carmilla shouted, firing blessed bolter rounds. I'm providing feedback, Alucard called back. Very constructive. They're trying to seduce me through combat. I'm explaining why it's not working. It's educational. A larger cultist, clearly a champion, stepped forward. He was enormous, muscles augmented by chaos blessings, wielding a sword that dripped with corrupted oils. You dare mock us, the champion rumbled. We are the chosen of she who thirsts. We have experienced pleasures beyond mortal comprehension. Oh, a champion, Alucard perked up. Finally, someone with confidence and muscles, very impressive muscles. Do you work out, or is that all chaos blessings? I'm genuinely curious about your routine, the champion charged. Alucard sidestepped, the massive sword missing by centimeters. Very thrusting, Alucard observed. Very penetrative, but you're overcommitting. Leaving yourself open. See, combat is like, well, it's like a lot of things, but the principle is the same. You need finesse. He shot the champion in the knee. The massive warrior stumbled. And timing, Alucard continued, shooting the other knee. Can't just go all out immediately. Need to work up to it. Build the tension. The champion collapsed. Alucard walked over, standing above him. See, this is why your cult fails. You mistake quantity for quality. You think more excess equals more pleasure. But real pleasure, real satisfaction, comes from the anticipation, the build-up, the knowledge that you earned it. He shot the champion in the head, but mostly it comes from killing your enemies. That's the best feeling. Very cathartic. They fought deeper into the temple, through chambers filled with corrupted machinery and cultists who screamed prayers to Slaanesh while dying. The architecture became increasingly organic, walls pulsing like living flesh. Okay, this is getting weird even for me, Alucard admitted. The walls are breathing. That's not normal, even by chaos standards. The corruption has spread to the temple's structure itself, the Magos explained via Vox. The building is becoming a living organism dedicated to excess. So we're inside a giant pleasure organism. Alucard thought about it. That's actually impressive. Disgusting, but impressive. Takes real commitment to corrupt architecture to this degree. They reached the central chamber where the cult's leader waited. She was beautiful in the way Slaanesh corruption was beautiful. Wrong, alluring, too perfect to be natural. "The vampire," she purred. "I've been waiting for you. I saw your arrival in the warp. Such potential, such darkness. Join us. Experience pleasures beyond imagination." "You know," Alucard said, holstering his guns and walking forward casually. "You're like the fifth person who's tried to seduce me this month. The Dark Eldar tried, a Keeper of Secrets tried, even a few Chaos Champions gave it a shot. And you know what they all have in common?" He stopped directly in front of her, meeting her corrupted gaze. "They're all dead, or absorbed into my consciousness where they scream eternally. One of the two, the details blur together. You cannot resist Slaanesh's gifts. I can, and I will, because here's the thing about pleasure cults. You're all amateurs." His grin became predatory. "I've spent 500 years exploring every possible sensation, pain, pleasure, everything in between. I've died thousands of times and come back. I've absorbed 3 million souls and felt their entire lives. You think you can offer me something I haven't experienced?" He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "You can't tempt what's already damned, darling, but you can annoy it, and annoyed vampires are very dangerous." The cult leader's expression shifted from seductive to uncertain. You're not afraid of corruption." "I am corruption, just a different kind." He stepped back, drawing his guns again. "So here's how this ends. You can surrender, and I'll kill you quickly. Or you can fight, and I'll kill you slowly while making inappropriate jokes about your technique. Your choice." She chose to fight. It was a mistake. The cult leader died messily. Alucard made sure of it, partially because she deserved it for corrupting sacred technology, but mostly because she'd tried to seduce him, and he found that personally offensive. "You know what your problem was?" he said to her corpse, reloading his guns. "You confused seductive with threatening. Very different vibes. I'm not scared of pleasure. I'm bored by people who think pleasure is their whole personality. Can we please leave before you monologue at more corpses?" Carmilla asked, already heading for the exit. "I'm processing through verbal expression. It's very healthy." He followed her out of the temple, which was now collapsing as the warp corruption destabilized. "Besides, I think I made some excellent points about the difference between genuine seduction and performative excess. You shot her 17 times. 18, actually. One hit twice. I counted." They emerged into the Forge World's industrial landscape, where Vex and the Magos were waiting with cleanup teams. So, temple destroyed, cult eliminated, corruption purged, all in a day's work. "The STCs are still compromised," the Magos reminded him. "We need to perform cleansing rituals on every affected system. It will take months." Or, Alucard suggested, You could just shoot them and start over. Very efficient, very thorough, really gets to the root of the problem. We cannot simply shoot sacred technology. Why not? I shoot everything else. Works great. Before the Magos could respond with either horror or violence, Vex interrupted. We need to plan the next operation. There's a Chaos warband operating in the Tertius system. Reports suggest they're planning a major offensive. Ooh, planning. Alucard perked up. I love planning. All those tactical discussions, positioning, entry points. It's very strategic. Why do I sense you're about to make this uncomfortable? Carmilla asked. Because I make everything uncomfortable. It's my brand. The planning session was held in the Forge World's main strategium, a massive chamber filled with hololithic displays, tactical officers, and enough military brass to stock an armory. Alucard arrived wearing his usual red coat, hands in pockets, looking entirely too casual for a strategic planning session. Gentlemen, he announced to the room, and ladies, and tech priests of indeterminate gender. I'm here to help plan our assault. I promise to make it as uncomfortable as possible. A senior Imperial Guard colonel looked at Vex. Inquisitor, is this the asset you mentioned? Yes, Vex said tiredly. That's the vampire. He doesn't look very dangerous. I'm extremely dangerous, Alucard corrected, approaching the tactical display. I'm just very casual about it. Makes people underestimate me. Then I kill them. It's a whole thing. The display showed the Chaos Warband's suspected positions, 3 fortified locations across the Tertius system, all heavily defended. The primary target is here, the colonel explained, pointing at the central fortress. Intelligence suggests this is their command center. If we can penetrate their defenses and eliminate their leadership, penetrate their defenses? Alucard interrupted, grinning. Very aggressive phrasing, Colonel. I like it. Really thrust right into their positions, get deep into their territory. The colonel stared at him. What? You said penetrate. I'm just agreeing. Very forward-thinking. None of this cautious approach nonsense. Just go straight in. Really commit to the entry. Carmilla, standing behind Alucard, was trying very hard to pretend she didn't know him. Moving on, the colonel said, clearly uncomfortable. We'll need to coordinate a multi-pronged assault. Strike teams here, here, and here. He indicated positions on the map, applying pressure from multiple angles. Multiple angles, Alucard repeated, his grin widening. Very thorough. Really surround them. Apply pressure from all sides. Leave them nowhere to go. I love it. Why does he make everything sound? A junior officer trailed off. Suggestive. Alucard supplied helpfully. Because military terminology is inherently suggestive. All this talk of penetrating, thrusting, applying pressure, achieving entry, it's all very evocative. Not my fault you people chose sexy verbs for warfare. They are tactical terms, the colonel protested. They're tactical and sexy. Things can be two things. Alucard studied the display. So, let me get this straight. We're going to penetrate their defenses, thrust deep into their territory, apply sustained pressure from multiple positions, and achieve full entry into their central fortress? Yes, that's the plan. Sounds great. Very exciting. When do we start this very physical, very committed assault? Vex stepped in before the colonel could have an aneurysm. We deploy in 6 hours. Alucard, you'll be leading the central thrust. I'm leading the thrust. Alucard looked delighted. That's perfect. I'm very good at thrusting. 500 years of experience. I can thrust with the best of them. Why, Carmilla said quietly to no one in particular, why does the Emperor test me like this? The central assault team will consist of Alucard, Sister Carmilla, a squad of stormtroopers, and... Vex consulted his data slate. War boss Gazkul has volunteered his forces for the assault. Gazkul's coming. Alucard's excitement intensified. Oh, this is going to be amazing. The orcs understand aggressive tactics. Very straightforward. Just charge in, start crumping, see what happens. No complicated positioning required. There is extensive positioning required, the colonel insisted. Coordinated strikes, timed advances, synchronized. Yeah, synchronized thrusting, I get it. Very organized, very rhythmic. Alucard turned to Carmilla. You ready for this, sister? 6 hours until we thrust deep into enemy territory together. Should be fun. I hate you, she said flatly. You say that, but you keep volunteering for missions with me. That suggests conflicted feelings. We should discuss them, maybe over drinks after we successfully penetrate the enemy stronghold. I volunteer because someone needs to prevent you from turning every operation into a spectacle. Too late? Everything I do is a spectacle. It's unavoidable. He looked at the tactical display again. Although seriously, this is a pretty good plan. Hit them from 3 sides, divide their forces, exploit weaknesses. Very solid. I approve. The vampire approves of our tactics, the colonel said dryly. How reassuring. It should be. I've been fighting for 500 years. I've seen every tactical approach. This one's actually good. The whole penetrate from multiple angles thing works great, as long as everyone commits and doesn't get cold feet halfway through. We will not get cold feet, the colonel said stiffly. Good, because there's nothing worse than starting an assault and then pulling out early. Really ruins the momentum. You've got to see it through to completion. Alucard grinned at the increasingly uncomfortable officers. So, 6 hours until operation begins. What should we do until then? Equipment checks, Vex said. Final preparations. Rest. Boring. But fine. Alucard headed for the exit. I'll be in the training yards if anyone needs me, practicing my thrusting technique for combat purposes. Obviously. Obviously, Carmilla echoed sarcastically. After he left, the strategium was silent for a long moment. Is he always like this? The colonel asked Vex. Always, Vex confirmed. And he's effective. Devastatingly so. He killed a demon prince, banished Magnus the Red, and purged an entire Dark Eldar raiding party. Alone, while making inappropriate jokes the entire time. Emperor preserve us. He does, Vex said quietly. In the strangest ways possible. The assault was going perfectly, which meant they'd encountered something unexpected. That something was a Slaanesh pleasure cult that had established a fortress within the Chaos Warband's fortress. A fortress inside a fortress. Very recursive. Very excessive. Oh, come on, Alucard said, looking at the Baroque architecture that had erupted in the middle of the Chaos stronghold. More pleasure cultists? I just dealt with pleasure cultists. Can't Chaos get some new material? The intelligence was incomplete, Vex admitted over Vox. The Slaanesh cult has been recruiting from the Warband, converting them to excess. So we've got Chaos Marines who are also pleasure cultists. Alucard whistled. That's commitment. That's dedication. That's also really disturbing because Chaos Marines are already pretty excessive. They stood before the cult's inner sanctum, a massive door covered in symbols that hurt to look at directly. Music throbbed from within, discordant and alluring. I'll breach the door, Carmilla said, raising her melter gun. Or I could knock, Alucard suggested. Very polite. Shows we have manners. We're assaulting a heretical cult. Manners are irrelevant. Manners are always relevant. He walked to the door and knocked. Loudly. Hello! Vampire here. I've come to ruin your cult. Again, it's becoming a pattern. The door opened. A cultist stood there, once a Chaos Marine, now decorated with so much Baroque ornamentation that his power armor was barely visible. A vampire. The cultist's voice was dreamy. Drugged. How delicious. Come in. Experience our pleasures. Join us in eternal. Let me stop you right there. Alucard interrupted. "I've heard this pitch. Multiple times. It never works. I'm immune to seduction, corruption, and sales tactics. So how about you just let me in? I kill everyone inside and we call it a day." The cultist blinked slowly. "You want to kill us?" Enthusiastically, with gusto, while making inappropriate jokes. He pushed past the cultist into the sanctum. "Come on, sister, let's get this over with." The interior was exactly what Alucard expected. Excessive decorations, corrupted machinery that pulsed sensually, cultists engaging in activities that would scandalize even the most jaded rogue trader. "Okay," he said, looking around. "This is a lot. Even for me. And I've been to some wild parties." A chaos sorcerer stepped forward, his armor corrupted by Slaanesh, covered in unnatural colors and materials that seemed to shift when not directly observed. "The vampire," the sorcerer purred. "We've been waiting for you. She who thirsts has plans for you." "Everyone has plans for me," Alucard said. "Tzeentch has plans. Khorne has plans. Magnus had plans. And you know what happens to all those plans?" He drew his guns. "I shoot them until they stop being plans. You cannot resist. The allure of excess, the promise of pleasure, the corruption of sensation. Yeah, I've heard it all before." Alucard started walking deeper into the sanctum, guns raised. "Here's the thing about Slaanesh. You guys think pleasure is irresistible, but I'm 500 years old. I've experienced everything. I'm so jaded that your ultimate pleasures look like a Tuesday afternoon." The cultists began manifesting, dozens of them, weapons drawn, smiles too wide. "We will show you. You'll try to seduce me, fail, then attack me, and I'll kill you all while making this whole situation uncomfortable for everyone involved." Alucard finished. "Can we skip to the fighting part? The foreplay is getting boring." The sorcerer gestured and reality bent. Demonettes manifested, Slaanesh's lesser demons, all sensual wrongness and predatory hunger. One approached Alucard, its voice like poisoned honey. "Join us, vampire. Experience pleasures beyond mortal comprehension. We can give you everything you've ever desired. I desire for you to shut up so I can shoot you," Alucard said. "Is that on the menu? Because that's really all I want right now." The demonette recoiled, confused. "But we are the embodiment of desire. We offer—" "Nothing I haven't already experienced or don't care about." He shot it. The blessed round sent it shrieking back to the warp. "See? Easy. Next." Another demonette tried a different approach, attempting to manifest his deepest desires psychically. It reached into his mind, searching for what he craved most, and encountered 3 million screaming souls, 500 years of death and violence, and the crushing weight of eternal existence. It fled, psychically traumatized. "Yeah, that happens," Alucard said sympathetically. "My brain is not a fun place. Very crowded. Lots of screaming, not really conducive to seduction." Carmilla was fighting through cultists, her power sword carving through corrupted flesh with practiced efficiency. "Can you please just kill them instead of traumatizing them psychologically?" "I'm multitasking." Alucard shot 3 cultists without looking. Killing and traumatizing, very efficient, really maximizes the impact. The Chaos Sorcerer realized his mistake too late. Slaanesh's gifts didn't work on something that was already completely broken and had been for 5 centuries. You're not even tempted." "Nope. Been there, done that. Got the existential crisis." Alucard walked toward him, guns raised. "You know what the problem with pleasure cults is? You mistake sensation for meaning. You think if you feel enough, experience enough, that it'll fill the void. But it doesn't. It just makes the void bigger." He stopped in front of the sorcerer, meeting his corrupted gaze. "I know because I've tried. 500 years of trying to feel something through violence, through blood, through killing. And you know what finally worked? Finding people who make existence bearable despite the void. That's worth more than all your ultimate pleasures combined. You care about them, the mortals? I care about my friends, Alucard corrected, who happen to be mortals, orcs, and a very frustrated battle sister who wishes she didn't like me. He shot the sorcerer in the knee. But that's between me and them. You're just another cultist who thought you could tempt a vampire. The sorcerer collapsed. She who thirsts will be disappointed that her cult failed again. I'm starting to develop a reputation. The vampire who can't be seduced. Very catchy. Should put it on a business card. He shot the sorcerer again, this time fatally. The remaining cultists fled or died. The demonettes were banished. Within minutes, the sanctum was clear. Just bodies, corrupted machinery, and two very different combatants standing in the aftermath. You gave him a speech, Carmilla observed. About friendship. I was making a point about the futility of hedonism as a life philosophy, Alucard said defensively. Very different from a friendship speech. You said we make existence bearable. I said my friends make existence bearable. You just happen to fall into that category, against your will, without your consent. It's very tragic. She paused, clearly struggling with something. I don't hate you, as much as I should. I knew it, Alucard pointed at her triumphantly. You like me. Admit it. We've bonded through violence. It's a whole thing. I tolerate you. There's a difference. Tolerance is just like with anxiety. We've established this. He grinned at her obvious discomfort. But thank you for not shooting me today. I appreciate the restraint. I shot you 3 times. During combat, that doesn't count. That's just tactical friendly fire. He headed for the exit. Come on, sister. Let's finish this assault. Still have a whole Chaos warband to purge. Can't let a little pleasure cult distract us from the main objective. The pleasure cult was a significant distraction. Details. Unimportant details. He paused at the doorway. Although between you and me, I think Slaanesh is getting desperate. This is the 3rd cult that's tried to seduce me this month. At some point, you'd think they'd realize it's not working. Perhaps they see you as a challenge. Then they need higher standards. I'm not a challenge, I'm impossible. He grinned. But I'm their impossible problem now, and I'm going to make it everyone's problem until it's hilarious. They left the sanctum, heading back to the main assault. Behind them, the corrupted machinery slowly died, its machine spirits finally free from Slaanesh's influence. The assault continued, the Chaos warband was routed, and one vampire added another notch to his ever-growing list of Slaanesh cults that tried and failed to seduce me. It was becoming quite the impressive list. I'm going for a walk, Alucard announced the morning after the successful assault. Vex looked up from his tactical reports. No. A very enthusiastic walk. Absolutely not. Through enemy territory. That's a suicide mission. For them, maybe. Alucard was already heading for the exit. I'll be back by evening. Probably. No promises. Alucard. Wait. But the vampire was already gone, dissolving into shadows and streaming out of the fortress at impossible speed. Vex pinched the bridge of his nose. Again. He'd been doing that a lot lately. Should we send support? A tactical officer asked. No. We just let him go and pray he doesn't start a war with something we can't handle. Sir, he's allies with orcs and has fought demon primarchs. What can't we handle? That's what worries me. Alucard's very enthusiastic walk took him through the ruins of a hive city, across a battlefield still smoking from yesterday's assault, and into territory that was technically neutral but practically hostile. He was humming. A tune from 500 years ago, something about death and maidens. Very appropriate. Then someone started following him. I know you're there, he called out, without looking back. You're not very subtle. Come out so I can see if I need to shoot you. Sister Carmilla emerged from cover, bolt pistol drawn but not aimed. I'm monitoring you. You're following me. There's a difference. He stopped walking, turning to face her. Did Vex send you? No, I volunteered. Because you were worried about me. Alucard's grin widened. Sister, that's sweet. I'm touched. Genuinely. I'm not worried. I'm preventing you from causing an incident. I cause incidents just by existing. You should know this by now. He started walking again. She fell into step beside him. So, since you're here, want to make this interesting. Define interesting. We could talk, get to know each other, bond without the immediate threat of death. He glanced at her. Unless you'd prefer comfortable silence. Also good. Very intimate. Why do you make everything weird? Because making things weird is more fun than making them normal. He kicked a piece of rubble. Besides, we've been fighting together for months now. Seems like we should know more about each other than she shoots me occasionally, and he makes everything uncomfortable. Carmilla was quiet for a moment. Then, what do you want to know? Oh, actual engagement. I'm surprised. He thought about it. Why do you become a battle sister? Besides the obvious, serve the Emperor thing, there's got to be a story. She hesitated. I was orphaned. Imperial world, overrun by chaos. The sisters saved me, raised me, trained me. This life is all I know. So you're paying forward what was given to you, Alucard said, surprisingly serious. That's actually noble, admirable even. And you? Why do you fight for the Imperium? You owe us nothing. Because I'm bored and you people provide entertainment, he said immediately, then paused. And because maybe I'm tired of being alone. 500 years is a long time, gets lonely, even for vampires. They walked in silence through the ruins. Around them, the aftermath of war, destroyed buildings, abandoned equipment, the lingering smell of promethium and death. Can I ask you something? Carmilla said finally. About the souls. The 3 million. Do you hear them? Always, Alucard admitted. Every second. 3 million voices screaming, pleading, cursing. It's very crowded in here. He tapped his temple. But you get used to it. Like tinnitus, but with more existential dread. That sounds like hell. It is hell, but it's my hell. And honestly, he grinned at her. I prefer company, even if that company is 3 million damned souls. Beats being completely alone. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. That's immortality, sister. Existence without end, watching everything around you die while you remain. My hell is just more literal than most. They reached the edge of the ruins, where enemy territory began. Alucard paused, looking out at the wasteland beyond. You know what the funny part is, he said quietly. I could leave, right now. Walk away from the Imperium, from this galaxy. Just disappear into the darkness and never look back. Nothing could stop me. But you don't. But I don't. He looked at her. Because despite everything, despite your Imperium being a nightmare, despite chaos being everywhere, despite this entire timeline being a slow collapse into entropy, I've found something worth staying for. What? Friends, he said simply. Allies. People who tolerate my presence despite every instinct telling them not to. You, Vex, even Gazkul and his orcs. That's worth more than 500 years of wandering alone. Carmilla was quiet. Then, you're not what I expected. I'm a 500-year-old vampire who makes inappropriate jokes while killing the Imperium's enemies. What did you expect? Honestly, a monster. I am a monster, Alucard corrected. I've killed thousands, absorbed millions. I'm everything your faith says shouldn't exist, but he grinned at her. I'm your monster now, and that makes me useful. Is that all you want? To be useful? I want to be relevant. to matter, to exist for something other than just existing. He started walking again, back toward Imperial lines. 500 years of meaningless violence taught me that survival isn't enough. You need purpose, connection, something beyond just don't die. That's very human of you. I was human once. Long ago, before the vampire thing. Sometimes I forget what that felt like. He paused. Do you ever wonder what you'd be if you weren't a battle sister? No, this is all I've ever known. And you're happy with that? She considered. I'm content. I serve the Emperor. I fight his enemies. I protect the innocent. That's enough. See, that's the difference between us, Alucard said. You have purpose built into your existence. I have to create mine. And right now, my purpose is fighting alongside people I actually like while making chaos cultists regret their life choices. That's a terrible purpose. It's my terrible purpose. He grinned at her. Besides, someone has to do it. Might as well be the unkillable vampire who makes everything weird. They walked back to Imperial lines together, vampire and battle sister, having the closest thing to a genuine conversation they'd had since meeting. Vex was waiting at the fortress entrance, looking relieved they'd returned without starting a major incident. How was your walk? He asked dryly. Very enthusiastic. Very bonding, very productive. Alucard gestured at Carmilla. The sister and I discussed philosophy, existence, and the nature of purpose. It was very deep, very meaningful. We talked, Carmilla corrected. Briefly, while walking. That's what I said. Deep conversation. He headed inside. Now what's next? More chaos to fight? Xenos to purge? I'm feeling energized after my walk. There's a situation developing, Vex said, following him. Eldar have been detected in the sector. Craftworld's signature. Eldar? Alucard perked up. The space elves who can see the future. I've been wanting to meet them. Think they saw me coming? If they can see the future, Carmilla said. They probably fled. Or they're here specifically to meet me because they saw something interesting. Alucard grinned. Either way, this is going to be fun. When do we meet them? They've requested diplomatic contact, Vex said carefully. The Farseer wants to speak with you, specifically. With me? Alucard looked delighted. The future-seeing space elves want to talk to the vampire. Oh, this is going to be amazing. Do you think they saw how uncomfortable I'm going to make them? Probably, Carmilla muttered. Then they're braver than I thought. Let's go. He started walking toward the landing pad. Come on, everyone. We're having a diplomatic meeting with psychic space elves. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, Vex said quietly. Absolutely everything. But he followed anyway. Because that's what you did when you worked with an unkillable vampire who turned every situation into a spectacle. The Eldar delegation arrived on a sleek spacecraft that looked more like art than technology. It landed with impossible grace, making Imperial vessels look like flying bricks by comparison. Show-offs, Alucard muttered, watching from the landing pad. Very pretty ships. Very elegant. Compensating for something, probably. The Eldar are an ancient race, Vex explained. Predating humanity. Masters of psychic arts and space elves who can see the future and are very smug about it. I got the briefing. Alucard adjusted his coat. Think they saw this conversation coming. Because that would be awkward. Takes all the spontaneity out of it. The ship's ramp descended, revealing 3 figures. 2 guardians in wraithbone armor, weapons held at parade rest, and between them, a Farseer. Tall, ethereal, her psychic presence heavy enough to make baseline humans uncomfortable. Farseer Eldrith of Craftworld. Ulthwé studied Alucard with ancient eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. Alucard studied her back with eyes that had seen a lot of blood and some really questionable medieval architecture. So, he said cheerfully, You're the space elf who can see the future. Did you see me making this introduction awkward? Because spoiler alert, I absolutely am. Eldrath's expression remained neutral, but one of the Guardians visibly twitched. I am Farseer Eldrath. We have observed your presence in the Materium. You are an anomaly, a disruption in the skein of fate. Skein of fate sounds dirty, Alucard observed, like a euphemism. Oh, I need to go untangle my skein of fate. Very suggestive. What? For someone who could see the future, Eldrath looked genuinely confused by the present. Sorry, continue. You were saying I'm an anomaly. I get that a lot. Very disruptive. It's my natural state. Eldrath composed herself. You should not exist in this timeline. You predate the Imperium. You are not warp-touched, yet you wield power beyond mortal capacity. You are a paradox. That's the nicest thing anyone said about me today. Alucard grinned. Although technically I exist because I'm very stubborn and refuse to die. It's not that complicated. I'm just immortal and annoying. We have seen possible futures, Eldrath continued. Threads where you survive the galaxy's end. Timelines where you fight beside humanity's corpse god. Paths where you destroy everything through sheer chaos. Ooh, options. I love options. Very open-ended. He leaned closer, making her visibly uncomfortable. So, which future did you see for this conversation? Because I'm betting it involved me making everything uncomfortable. Did I get that right? I saw multiple possibilities, all of them unusual. That's a yes. Alucard turned to Carmilla. She saw me being weird and came anyway. That's either brave or stupid. I respect both. Why are we here? Carmilla asked, trying to maintain some professionalism. What does the craft world want with the vampire? We seek understanding, Eldrath said. The vampire represents an unknown variable. In the coming darkness, all variables must be accounted for. Coming darkness. Alucard perked up. Is that code for something? Because it sounds very ominous. Very foreboding, also very vague. Care to elaborate? The great enemy stirs. The Tyranids devour, the Necrons wake, and the corpse god's empire collapses. In this maelstrom, you are a wild card. Wild card, I love that. Very unpredictable, very exciting. He walked around her, examining her psychic presence. So you can see the future. Multiple futures, all at once. That must be exhausting, like watching every season of a show simultaneously. It is complex. And you saw futures where I help, where I hurt, where I just make everything weird and uncomfortable. All of those, yes. So basically, you have no idea what I'm going to do and that scares you. Alucard stopped in front of her, grinning. Welcome to how everyone else feels about tomorrow. It's called not being able to see the future. You'll get used to it. One of the Guardians spoke. His voice filtered through his helmet. You mock the Farseer, she who has guided Ulthwé for 3,000 years, she who has seen a lot of things and is very impressive, I'm sure. Alucard waved dismissively. But here's the thing about seeing the future. It doesn't help when the present is unpredictable, and I'm very unpredictable. He turned back to Eldrath. So, let me guess. You came here to either recruit me, threaten me, or warn me about something horrible coming. Which is it? All three, Eldrath admitted. The vampire's choices will shape the galaxy. We would prefer those choices align with survival. Whose survival? Humanity's, Eldar's, everyone's. All survival, against the alternatives. Alternatives being total consumption by the Tyranids, extinction by awakening Necrons, corruption by the great enemy. The corpse god's final death and humanity's collapse. She met his gaze. Or you, vampire, deciding existence is too tedious and walking away while everything burns. Alucard was quiet for a moment. Then, you think I'd do that? Just leave? I have seen timelines where you do, where the burden of immortality becomes too much, where you simply stop caring. Huh. He considered this. That's actually kind of insightful and disturbing, because yeah, that's always a possibility. He looked at Carmilla, at Vex, at the assembled Imperial forces. But here's what your future sight might be missing. I've got reasons to stay now. People I actually like. Fights worth fighting. Purpose beyond just existing. Friendships, Eldrath said, almost wonderingly. The vampire values friendships. Don't sound so surprised. I'm a monster, not a psychopath. I can have friends. He paused. Although, to be fair, most of my friends keep shooting me. It's a complicated dynamic. The threads of fate are shifting, Eldrath said, her eyes distant. Your presence alters probability, makes the future uncertain. Good. Uncertainty is better than predetermined doom. Alucard grinned at her. Besides, if you could see everything coming, life would be boring. Where's the surprise? The excitement? The sudden realization that you've made terrible decisions and now have to live with them? Is that supposed to be reassuring? It's supposed to be honest. He stepped closer, his voice dropping slightly. You came here looking for certainty, wanting to know if I'm a threat or an asset. But here's the truth. I'm both. I'm useful and dangerous. I'll fight for this galaxy because it's entertaining, but I'll do it my way. And my way involves making everyone uncomfortable while killing their enemies. Eldrath studied him for a long moment. You are not what I expected. No one ever expects the vampire to be reasonable, Alucard said cheerfully. They expect monster. They get monster who occasionally has philosophical conversations. Very confusing. We will be watching you, vampire. The craft world has invested interest in your survival. Oh, you care. That's sweet. He actually looked pleased. Tell your craft world I said hello, and that I'm very flattered by the attention, even if it's because you're scared of me potentially destroying everything. We are not scared. You're a little scared, I can tell. Your psychic aura is doing this twitchy thing, he demonstrated with his hands. Very subtle, but I notice these things. The Guardians shifted uncomfortably. Eldrath maintained her composure, barely. One final warning, vampire. There are forces that wish to claim you. Chaos seeks to corrupt. The Necrons seek to study. And the Tyranids. She paused. The Tyranids are developing an interest. They have begun to recognize you as a threat. Threat to space bugs who eat everything? Alucard looked delighted. That's amazing. I've always wanted to be recognized as a legitimate threat by a hive mind. Very validating. You find this amusing. I find everything amusing. It's how I cope with eternal existence. He grinned at her. But thank you. For the warning, for coming here, for being vague and ominous. It's very space elf of you. I appreciate the aesthetic. Eldrath turned to leave, then paused. The corpse god's empire will fall, vampire. When it does, what will you do? Fight, Alucard said simply. I'll fight until there's nothing left to fight, or until I get bored, whichever comes first. And if your friends fall, if those you care about die, then I'll fight harder to make their deaths mean something. His grin faded slightly. I've lived 500 years watching people die. I'm very good at continuing afterward. It's not happy, but it's what I do. Eldrath nodded slowly. Perhaps the vampire is the wild card this galaxy needs, or the one it deserves. Hard to tell. His grin returned. Safe travels, Farseer. Tell the future I said it can go fuck itself. I'm making my own destiny through violence and inappropriate commentary. The Eldar departed, their ship lifting off with impossible grace. Alucard watched them go, hands in his pockets. That went well, he announced to no one in particular. Made a space elf uncomfortable, got warned about the future, established myself as a wild card. Very productive diplomatic meeting. You called the future a sexual partner, Carmilla said flatly. I told it to go fuck itself. Different thing. He turned to head back inside. Although now I'm curious about what future she saw. Think one of them involved me and her having a very philosophical conversation over drinks? Because I feel like I could bond with a future seer. We'd have great conversations about determinism versus free will. You're impossible. I'm improbable. We've established this. He paused. Did you hear what she said, though? About me walking away? About giving up? Yes, that's not going to happen. He looked at her seriously. Just so you know, I'm not leaving. I'm staying, fighting, being annoying, for as long as this galaxy needs someone to be annoying. That's oddly reassuring. I contain multitudes. He grinned. Now come on. I heard there's paperwork that needs my signature. Very exciting. Lots of forms, opportunities to make bureaucrats uncomfortable. Oh no, Vex said, overhearing. No, you're not going near the administratum. Too late, already decided, bureaucracy awaits. Alucard headed inside. Time to penetrate the imperial administrative system. Why do you phrase it like that? Carmilla called after him. Because it's funny, he called back. The administratum office on the Forge world was exactly what Alucard expected. Grey, depressing, filled with scribes hunched over data slates and smelling faintly of despair and recycled air. This is terrible, he announced cheerfully. I love it. Very dystopian, very oppressive, really captures the Imperium's whole aesthetic. A senior administrator, Scribe Magister Volcarius, looked up from his mountain of paperwork. He was middle-aged, augmented with basic cybernetics, and looked like he hadn't slept in 3 decades. Can I help you? He asked, his voice the monotone of someone whose soul had died years ago but whose body kept working anyway. Yes. I need authorization forms, supply requisitions, and casualty reports filed for my recent operations. Alucard approached the desk. I'm told this requires extensive paperwork and many signatures. Very exciting. You are the vampire. Volcarius consulted his data slate. Entity designation, Alucard. Classification, Omega-level threat, conditionally allied. That's me, the Omega-level threat here to do paperwork. Alucard leaned on the desk. So, what do I need to fill out? I'm very eager to penetrate your bureaucratic systems. Really get deep into your filing structure. Volcarius stared at him. You're eager to do paperwork. Very eager. I've never done Imperial paperwork before. It's a new experience. I'm all about new experiences. He paused. Also, I was told if I don't file these forms, I won't get ammunition resupply, and I use a lot of ammunition. I see. Volcarius pulled out several data slates. You'll need to fill out Form 7743 Alpha for combat operations, Form 9821 Delta for Xenos Alliance documentation, Form 4452 Omega for psychological evaluation. Psychological evaluation? Alucard perked up. Oh, that one's going to be fun. Very lengthy. Lots of probing questions about my mental state. And Form 1138 Theta for ammunition requisition. Volcarius set the data slates on the desk. Each form requires detailed information, supporting documentation, and 3 authorized signatures. 3 signatures. Very secure. Very bureaucratic. Alucard picked up the first data slate. So I just fill these out? Input information into your systems. Get thoroughly involved with your administrative processes? Yes, accurately, completely, with no omissions. This is going to be great. He started filling out forms, humming cheerfully. Carmilla, who'd followed him to prevent any incidents, stared in disbelief. You're actually doing the paperwork. I'm being responsible, engaging with Imperial bureaucracy, really getting into the thick of things. He filled in several fields. See, very cooperative, very thorough. She leaned over to read what he'd written. Under species, fuck mothering vampire. Under origin, 1400s Romania, fell through dimensional rift while fighting Nazis under threat level. Very high but friendly, under known associates. Sister Carmilla, shoots me sometimes. Inquisitor Vex, tired. Orcs, mushrooms. You can't submit that, she said flatly. Why not? It's accurate. He continued filling out forms. Under combat effectiveness, I'm putting extremely effective. Refuses to die. Makes everyone uncomfortable. That's honest. Vulcarius read over the forms, his expression unchanging. These are not standard responses. I'm not a standard asset, Alucard pointed out. I'm an Omega-level threat, remember? Can't use standard forms for non-standard entities. That's not how bureaucracy works. Then how does it work? Because I'm very interested in learning. Teach me your ways, Scribe Magister. I want to really grasp the Administratum's methods. Get a firm grip on your procedures. Vulcarius's eye twitched. You're making this uncomfortable. That's what I do, but I'm also filling out your forms very diligently. See? He showed the data slate. I've completed sections 1 through 7, very detailed, very thorough, really exploring all your questions. The Scribe Magister reviewed the responses. Under preferred combat role, aggressive offense, shock tactics, psychological warfare through inappropriate commentary, under special requirements. None. Self-regenerating, doesn't need food, sleep, sanity, under command structure compatibility. Follows orders when convenient, ignores them when inconvenient, generally effective despite insubordination. This is the most honest performance evaluation I've ever read, Vulcarius said quietly, and also the most disturbing. Thank you, I pride myself on honesty. Alucard moved to the next form. Now, for the Xenos Alliance documentation, this asks about nature of relationship with non-human entities. Can I put surprisingly good? They appreciate violence. You've allied with Xenos. Orcs, they're mushrooms. We've established this. He filled in more fields. Also fought alongside Eldar briefly, but that was more of a coincidence than an alliance. We were both trying to kill the same Chaos Marines, very efficient, very collaborative. Vulcarius was beginning to understand why Inquisitor Vex looked so tired all the time. The forms require specific information about operational parameters, resource consumption, and strategic impact, he explained. Can you provide accurate data for ammunition expenditure? A lot, Alucard said. Specifically, I use about 200 rounds per engagement, modified blessed ammunition for both the Jackal and Castle, and occasionally I steal enemy weapons and use those until they break. Very resource efficient, actually. I'm like a self-sustaining combat unit. That's not. Vulcarius checked something. Actually, that is resource efficient compared to standard Space Marine deployments. Unusual. I'm very cost effective, don't need food, don't need sleep, don't need psychological counseling despite definitely needing it. Alucard grinned. Just point me at enemies and provide ammunition. Very simple, very straightforward. He continued filling out forms with surprising diligence. Under psychological evaluation, subject displays, extreme confidence, possible narcissism, definite immortality complex, inappropriate humor as coping mechanism, genuine attachment to allies, deep-seated fear of eternal loneliness masked by aggression, very good at killing things. Vulcarius read this and paused. This is surprisingly self-aware. I've had 500 years to think about my issues, Alucard said cheerfully. I know exactly what's wrong with me. I just choose not to fix it because it's working. That's not healthy. Nothing about me is healthy. I'm an undead vampire, sustained by absorbed souls. Health is not my priority. He finished the psychological evaluation form. There, complete, very thorough, really got deep into my psyche. Should I talk about the 3 million screaming souls, or is that too much detail? That's definitely too much detail. Got it. Keeping it light. Very professional. He moved to the ammunition requisition form. So this asks about preferred ammunition specifications. Can I request more blessed silver rounds? They work great on demons. Very effective, very penetrative. Carmilla closed her eyes. Please stop. Stop what? I'm being specific about ammunition requirements. This is important logistical information. You know what you're doing. I'm filling out forms, very innocently, with accurate technical specifications about how effectively my bullets penetrate enemy armor. He grinned at her obvious discomfort. Okay, that one was on purpose. Vulcarius was reviewing the completed forms, his expression unreadable. These are acceptable. Unusual, but acceptable. I'll need authorization signatures from Inquisitor Vex, a Mechanicus representative, and a senior Imperial Guard officer. I can get those? Very easy. People love authorizing my paperwork. Alucard collected the data slates. Anything else I need to file? More forms? More opportunities to thoroughly engage with Imperial bureaucracy? There's one more thing. Vulcarius pulled out a massive scroll. The Litany of Compliance. All assets must recite it before receiving supply authorization. A litany. Excellent. I love litanies. Very ceremonial. Alucard took the scroll. What do I say? I swear to serve the Emperor, to follow his will, to fight his enemies, and to... Vulcarius paused. You're not going to say this properly, are you? Probably not, but I'll try. Alucard cleared his throat. I swear to serve the Emperor by killing his enemies, to follow his will unless I think of something better, to fight with enthusiasm and inappropriate commentary, and to generally be useful despite being a heretical abomination. Vulcarius stared at him. That's not the litany. It's my version, personalized, very authentic. Alucard handed back the scroll. Come on, you know I'm not going to recite standard Imperial prayers. I'm a vampire. We don't do sincere religious devotion. This is against protocol. Everything I do is against protocol. That's my whole thing. He grinned. But I filed your forms, answered your questions honestly, and provided accurate tactical information. That's better than most assets give you. Admit it. Vulcarius was quiet for a moment. Then, quietly. You're not wrong. Most officers fabricate their reports to look better. You're honest about being inappropriate and insubordinate. Exactly. Honest, inappropriate insubordination is better than lying about following orders perfectly. Alucard leaned on the desk. So, do I get my ammunition requisition approved? Yes. Against my better judgment. Yes. Vulcarius stamped several forms. You're cleared for supply authorization. Conditionally. With extensive monitoring. Always with the monitoring. You people love monitoring me. Alucard collected his authorized data slates. Thank you, Scribe Magister. This was very educational. I learned a lot about Imperial bureaucracy. Specifically, that it's terrible, but you people make it work anyway. Very impressive. It's not supposed to work, Vulcarius said quietly. It's supposed to slow everything down so much that problems solve themselves through attrition. That's the most depressing thing I've heard today, and I've absorbed 3 million screaming souls. Alucard paused. You doing okay? You look like you need a vacation, or alcohol, or both. I haven't had a vacation in 17 years. That's horrifying. Take a break. Go somewhere nice. Experience non-bureaucratic existence. He headed for the exit. Life's too short to spend it all doing paperwork. Well, your life is too short. Mine is eternal. But the principle applies. As they left, Carmilla asked quietly, Did you actually just encourage an Imperial bureaucrat to take time off? He looked sad and very tired. Someone had to say something. Alucard grinned. Besides, I filled out all my forms correctly. Sort of. Close enough. I earned the right to give life advice. You put fuck-mothering vampire as your species designation. And I stand by that. Accurate information is important in bureaucracy. Behind them, Scribe Magister Volcarius stared at the completed forms, wondering if this was the strangest interaction he'd had in 30 years of service. It was. But somehow, the vampire had actually completed all the required documentation. Against all odds, bureaucracy had been penetrated, and the administratum would never be quite the same. The demon manifested 3 days later, not during a battle, not during a crisis, just appeared in the middle of a supply depot, because apparently Chaos didn't believe in scheduling. It was a keeper of secrets, a greater demon of Slaanesh, all sensual wrongness and predatory grace. Reality bent around it, making colors too vivid and sounds too sweet. Alucard, who'd been inspecting ammunition supplies, looked up at the sudden warp manifestation. "Oh, come on," he said. "I'm doing inventory. This is the worst time for a demon. Can't you come back later, like during actual combat, when it would be convenient?" The keeper focused on him, and its voice was like silk and razors. "The vampire. I've come specifically for you. Everyone's coming specifically for me lately. I'm very popular." He set down the ammo crate. "Let me guess. You want to seduce me, corrupt me, tempt me with forbidden pleasures?" "I want to understand you," the keeper purred, circling him. "You resist Slaanesh. You mock pleasure. Yet you are ancient, experienced. You have tasted everything. Why do you not crave more?" "Because I've learned the difference between pleasure and purpose," Alucard said, drawing his guns. "And purpose is more satisfying. Now, are we fighting or what? Because if this is just a philosophical discussion, I'd rather reschedule. I've got work to do." "Always so quick to violence." The keeper smiled, showing too many teeth. "But violence is just another sensation, vampire. Another pleasure to indulge. Violence is work. I happen to enjoy my work. Different thing." "Is it?" The keeper moved closer, reality warping with each step. "You revel in combat. You laugh while killing. You make inappropriate jokes while covered in your enemy's blood. That is excess. That is pleasure. You are already Slaanesh's creature, vampire. You simply refuse to admit it." Alucard paused. "Okay, that's actually a decent psychological attack. Very targeted. Hit right at the insecurity. I'm impressed." "Then you admit." "I admit you've got decent technique, but you're wrong." He holstered his guns. "See, the difference between me and your cultists is control. They chase sensation because they're slaves to it. I choose violence because it's effective. There's a difference between enjoying your work and being defined by it." "Such a thin line," the keeper whispered, its form shifting to something more alluring. "Let me show you what you could become, what you could experience if you simply let go." "Surrendered control. Embraced true excess." "Nope." Alucard interrupted. "Not interested. Heard this pitch multiple times. It doesn't work. Want to know why?" He walked closer to the demon, completely unafraid. "Because I've been to the bottom. I've experienced 500 years of meaningless violence. I've killed without purpose, without reason, without anything beyond just existing. And you know what I learned?" He was directly in front of the keeper now, meeting its corrupted gaze. "Excess without meaning is just empty. Pleasure without connection is just hollow. Sensation without purpose is just noise. And I've spent centuries learning to tell the difference." The keeper recoiled slightly. You're not tempted at all. Not even a little bit." Alucard's grin was sharp. "See, here's what you Slaanesh demons don't understand. You can't tempt someone who's already found something better. I've got friends, allies, people who make existence bearable despite the void. That's worth more than all your ultimate pleasures combined." "Friends," the keeper said, almost mockingly. "The vampire values friendship over godly gifts. Yeah, Because friendship is real. Your gifts are just sensations, temporary highs. They don't last. But genuine connection? That endures. The demon was quiet for a moment, processing this. Then its expression shifted to something more predatory. Then perhaps I should take your friends, it purred. Show you what happens when connection is severed. When pleasure turns to pain, when everything you care about is destroyed. Alucard's form exploded into shadows. Not gradually, instantly. His entire presence shifted from casual vampire to ancient predator in a heartbeat. Threaten them again, he said, his voice layered with 3 million souls. I fucking dare you. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. The Keeper actually stepped back. You would protect them. These mortals, these temporary creatures who will die while you endure? Yes. Simple. Direct. Absolute. Why? Because they're mine. His eyes blazed crimson. And I don't share. The Keeper realized, too late, that it had miscalculated. Badly. I came to tempt you with pleasure, it said slowly. But you're not motivated by pleasure. You're motivated by possession. Not possession, protection. Alucard's form stabilized, the shadows receding. There's a difference. I don't own my friends. I guard them. Because they make 500 years of existence worth enduring. That's not how Slaanesh operates. I know. That's why your seduction doesn't work on me. He drew his guns again. So, since you failed to tempt me, threatened my friends, and generally wasted my time, how about we skip to the part where I banish you back to the warp? You cannot harm me. I am a greater demon. I'm immortal, powerful. And I'm a vampire who's fought demon primarchs and lived. Alucard raised both guns. Want to see which immortal is more stubborn? The Keeper attacked. Warp energy lashed out, reality bending, trying to overwhelm him with sensations, pain, pleasure, everything in between all at once. Alucard endured it. Not through resistance, through experience. 500 years of sensation, 3 million absorbed lives. Every possible feeling catalogued, processed, integrated into his existence. The Keeper's assault was like showing a photograph to someone who'd lived through the original event. That all you got? Alucard asked, shooting through the sensory overload. Because I felt worse. Hell, I've caused worse. His blessed rounds struck the demon's form, each one tearing away pieces of its manifestation. The Keeper shrieked, more in frustration than pain. How? How do you resist? Practice. Alucard shot it again. 500 years of practice. You can't tempt what's already experienced everything. You can't seduce what's already found something better. And you definitely can't threaten what I care about without consequences. He released his spectral army. Not all 3 million, just enough to swarm the demon. To distract it. To give him the opening he needed. This is for threatening my friends, he said, walking through the chaos. This is for wasting my time during inventory. And this, he shot the demon directly in its central mass, is for being a discount bin tempter who couldn't seduce a teenage cultist. The Keeper's form destabilized, its connection to the materium failing. She who thirsts will remember you, vampire, will send greater tempters, will fail again because I'm not interested. Alucard shot it one more time. Tell Slaanesh I said thanks, but no thanks. I'm taken, emotionally unavailable, not looking for new existential crises. The demon was banished, screaming its frustration as it was dragged back into the warp. Silence fell across the supply depot. Alucard stood alone, surrounded by scattered ammunition crates and the lingering scent of warp corruption. Well, he said to himself, that was therapeutic. Very cathartic. Really got to express my feelings about friends and purpose and why Slaanesh can go fuck itself. Sister Carmilla ran into the depot, bolt pistol raised. I felt the warp manifestation. What happened? keeper of secrets, tried to seduce me. I explained why that doesn't work. It threatened you and Vex. I got angry and shot it a lot. He holstered his guns. Standard Tuesday. It threatened us? Yeah, big mistake on its part. He looked at her seriously. For the record, you're under my protection. You, Vex, even the orcs. Anyone tries to hurt you, they deal with me. And I'm very difficult to deal with. She stared at him. You're protecting us. Obviously, you're my friends. That's what friends do. He paused. Is this weird? This feels weird. I'm being emotionally honest. That's not usually my thing. It's unexpected. Well, get used to it. Because apparently, demons think threatening my friends is good tactics, and I need to make it very clear that it's not. His grin returned. Although on the bright side, I successfully resisted Slaanesh seduction again. That's like, what, 5 times now? I'm building a reputation. The vampire who can't be tempted. Very catchy. You were never in danger of being tempted, Carmilla observed. Nope, because I've got something Slaanesh can't offer. Genuine connection with people who tolerate my bullshit despite every instinct telling them not to. He started picking up scattered ammunition. That's worth more than infinite pleasure. Which I tried explaining to the demon, but it didn't get it. Very sad. Poor demon didn't understand friendship. You're being sincere again. I'm being honest. There's a difference. He paused. But yeah, you matter. Vex matters. Even Gazkul's mushroom-based life form matters. And anyone who threatens that learns why I'm classified as an Omega-level threat. Carmilla was quiet for a moment, then, thank you. For what? For caring. About us. About this. She gestured vaguely at everything. Despite being an immortal vampire, with no obligation to care about anything. Hey, someone's got to care. Might as well be me. He grinned at her. Besides, you shoot me occasionally. That's basically how I know you care. Very tsundere of you. I don't know what that means. It means you're secretly fond of me, but express it through violence. Very romantic. We should get matching weapons. We are not. She stopped herself. Why do I even bother? Because you care too. See? Mutual caring. That's friendship. He finished collecting ammunition. Now come on. I've got inventory to finish. Very exciting. Lots of counting. Want to help? Fine. They did inventory together. Vampire and battle sister. In comfortable silence, occasionally broken by Alucard making inappropriate jokes about ammunition. It was domestic, in a weird 40k kind of way. And somehow, that was exactly what they both needed. Alucard stood before a formation of Death Corps soldiers, looking at their identical gas masks and emotionless postures. They stared back, or at least their gas mask lenses pointed in his direction. So, he said cheerfully, Inquisitor Vex has asked me to conduct morale exercises with you fine soldiers, which is hilarious because you're Kriegers. You don't have morale. You have fatalistic acceptance of death and really good trenching skills. The Watchmaster, standing to the side, said nothing. Neither did any of the soldiers. Okay, this is going to be harder than I thought, Alucard admitted. But I've been given orders to teach you about enjoyment and positive combat experiences. So let's start with something simple. Who here has fun during combat? Silence. Anyone? Just raise your hand if you've ever enjoyed a fight. More silence. This is like talking to really well-armed statues. He walked along the line. Okay, new approach. What do you do for fun? When you're not dying for the Emperor? One soldier spoke, voice flat through his rebreather. We prepare to die for the Emperor. Right, of course. Very on brand. Alucard stopped in front of him. But besides preparing to die, do you have hobbies, interests, things that make you think, hey, existing isn't completely terrible? We clean our weapons. That's not a hobby, that's maintenance. Alucard threw up his hands. Come on, people. There's got to be something you enjoy. Music, art, making inappropriate jokes about tactical operations. The entire formation stared at him in blank confusion. Okay, I see the problem, Alucard said. You've all been conditioned to suppress joy, emotion, and anything resembling personality, which is very effective for warfare but terrible for mental health. He paused. Not that I'm one to talk about mental health. I have 3 million screaming souls in my head, but at least I admit it's unhealthy. The Watchmaster spoke. The Death Corps does not require fun. We require purpose, discipline, service unto death. Yeah, but you could have purpose and fun. They're not mutually exclusive. Alucard was getting animated now. Look at me. I kill the Emperor's enemies and make inappropriate jokes while doing it. Very efficient, very entertaining. That is not the Krieg way. Well, maybe the Krieg way needs some updates. A little spice, some enthusiasm beyond dying efficiently. He turned back to the soldiers. Let me ask you this. When you kill an enemy, when you successfully complete a mission, when you survive against odds, don't you feel anything? Long pause. Then one soldier said quietly, relief that we may die in the next engagement. That's the saddest thing I've heard this week. Alucard looked genuinely distressed, and I talked to an administratum bureaucrat who hasn't had a vacation in 17 years. You people need help, professional help, therapy, something. We do not require. You require something. He was pacing now. Okay, new plan. I'm going to teach you about enjoyment through demonstration. We're doing a training exercise, combat simulation, and I'm going to show you how to have fun while killing things. Shh. Sister Carmilla, observing from a distance, whispered to Vex. This is going to be a disaster. Probably, Vex agreed. But I'm curious to see how it fails. 20 minutes later, they'd set up a training course with combat servitors as targets. The Kriegers lined up, weapons ready, expressions invisible behind gas masks. All right, Alucard announced. Here's the game. You're going to assault this position, eliminate the targets, and while doing it, you're going to try to enjoy yourselves, have fun, experience positive emotions, maybe even crack a smile under those masks. We do not... Yes, you don't smile. I got it. Just try, okay? For me? As a favor to your friendly neighborhood vampire. He gestured at the course. Go on. Show me some enthusiasm. The first Krieg soldier advanced. Methodically, efficiently, eliminated all targets with precise lace gunfire. 0 wasted movement, 0 emotion, textbook perfect. That was terrible, Alucard shouted. You didn't enjoy any of that. You just mechanically killed things. Where's the passion, the excitement, the joy of combat? The soldier turned to him. Mission completed. Targets eliminated. No casualties. But were you happy about it? Happiness is irrelevant to combat effectiveness. Happiness is extremely relevant. Alucard was getting frustrated now. Okay, watch me. I'll show you how to do it with enthusiasm. He entered the course. The combat servitors activated, weapons raised. Hello, targets, Alucard shouted, drawing his guns. I'm going to shoot you and enjoy it, very much, excessively, even. He started shooting, moving through the course with theatrical flair, spinning, dodging unnecessarily, making sound effects. Pew, pew, bang, bang. Oh, that was a great shot. Did you see that? Totally intentional. Very skilled. He shot another servitor. And that one was luck, but I'm claiming it anyway. The Kriegers watched in absolute silence. Alucard finished the course, holstered his guns, and turned to them. See? That's how you have fun during combat. Enthusiasm, energy, making it entertaining for yourself and everyone watching. More silence. Am I getting through to anyone? Even a little bit? One Krieg soldier raised his hand slightly. Alucard perked up. Yes, you understand. The soldier said flatly, Your technique was inefficient. You wasted 17% more ammunition than necessary. Your movements telegraphed your intentions, and the sound effects served no tactical purpose. Alucard stared at him. You completely missed the point. The point of combat is to eliminate enemies efficiently while minimizing friendly casualties. The point of combat is whatever you want it to be. It can be efficient and fun. He turned to the Watchmaster. Help me out here. Tell them it's okay to enjoy their work. The Death Corps does not enjoy. We endure. We serve. We die with honor. That's not a life philosophy. That's a suicide pact. Alucard ran his hands through his hair. Okay, different approach. Let me tell you a story about someone who killed without joy, without purpose, just mechanically for centuries. Want to know what happened to him? The soldiers waited. He got bored, so bored that existence became unbearable, so bored that he started taking stupid risks just to feel something. He looked at them seriously. That someone was me. And let me tell you, existing without joy is not worth it, even if you're serving the Emperor. Especially if you're serving the Emperor, because he'd want his soldiers to actually value their own existence. The Watchmaster spoke quietly. The Emperor does not require us to value our existence, only to spend it wisely. But what if you could spend it wisely and enjoy it? Alucard pressed. What if dying for the Emperor could be done with a smile instead of grim acceptance? Wouldn't that be better? It would be unusual. Unusual is good. Unusual is better than being emotionless death seekers. He turned back to the soldiers. Look, I'm not saying don't be disciplined. I'm not saying don't be effective. I'm just saying, maybe, possibly occasionally, you could enjoy what you do. Find satisfaction in a job well done. Feel pride in your accomplishments. Experience something beyond just waiting to die. One soldier in the back row spoke up. But if we enjoy combat, doesn't that make us like the enemy? Like Khorne's followers? No, Alucard pointed at him. See, that's the thing. Khorne's followers kill for chaos, for rage, for mindless slaughter. You'd be killing for the Emperor, but with enthusiasm, different motivation, same end result, but with better mental health. The soldiers looked at each other, or at least their gas masks turned toward each other. I will demonstrate, the Watchmaster said suddenly, if it will end this instruction. He entered the training course. Advanced methodically, just like his soldiers. Eliminated each target with perfect precision. Then, after the last servitor fell, he said quietly, target eliminated. Mission accomplished. It was acceptable. Acceptable? Alucard looked ready to cry. That's the best I'm going to get? Acceptable. It is significant progress for the Death Corps. Carmilla, still watching, turned to Vex. He actually cares about this, about whether they enjoy themselves. The vampire has developed empathy, Vex observed. It's disturbing. It's growth, she corrected. He's trying to help them. Back at the training course, Alucard was still trying. Okay, let's try another angle. When you successfully complete a mission, when you kill the Emperor's enemies, when you survive a battle, does that feel good? Like you've accomplished something? Several soldiers exchanged glances again. Finally, one spoke. There is. Satisfaction. In duty fulfilled. Satisfaction! Alucard seized on this. Yes, that's emotion. That's enjoyment. You just admitted you feel good when you do good work. It is not enjoyment. It is merely, it's the same thing. You just call it something different because you've been conditioned to suppress positive emotions. Alucard was excited now. But satisfaction is joy. Pride is happiness. You do enjoy combat. You just don't admit it. The soldiers were quiet, processing this. I think, one said slowly, I think the vampire may be correct. We do feel something when we succeed. Yes, progress. Alucard pumped his fist. You feel things. You have emotions. You're not just killing machines. You're soldiers who take pride in their work. Pride is, the soldier paused, acceptable if it serves the Emperor. Everything serves the Emperor if you frame it right. Alucard was grinning now. Pride in your work serves the Emperor by making you more effective. Enjoyment of combat serves the Emperor by improving morale. Even inappropriate jokes serve the Emperor by relieving stress before battle. That seems like a stretch, the Watchmaster observed. My entire existence is a stretch, but I make it work. He looked at the assembled soldiers. Look, I know I'm not going to turn you into fun-loving party animals. That's not the Krieg way, but maybe, just maybe, you could acknowledge that serving the Emperor can be something other than grim suffering. Maybe it can be satisfying, fulfilling, even occasionally enjoyable. The soldiers were quiet for a long moment. Then one said, "Your words are unusual, but not incorrect. We do feel satisfaction when we fight well. And that's okay," Alucard encouraged. "That's healthy. You're allowed to feel good about doing good work. The Emperor would approve? The Emperor would want you to value your own service, to take pride in your accomplishments, to exist as more than just expendable assets." He paused. "Probably. I mean, I haven't asked him directly, but it seems like he'd prefer his soldiers to have some quality of life." The Watchmaster spoke. "The vampire's instruction has been educational. We will consider his words. That's all I ask. Consideration, thought, maybe a tiny acknowledgement that joy is not heresy." Alucard looked at them all. "You're good soldiers. Effective, disciplined. But you could be good soldiers who also enjoy what they do. And that wouldn't make you worse. It would make you better." He headed for the exit, then paused. "Oh, and if anyone wants to try making inappropriate jokes during combat, I'm available for tutoring. Very educational, extremely uncomfortable for enemies." After he left, the Krieg soldiers stood in formation, processing what had just happened. "The vampire is strange," one said. "But not incorrect," another added. "We do feel satisfaction when we serve well." "Perhaps," the Watchmaster said slowly, "perhaps that is acceptable." High praise from the Death Corps. The assault on the Slaanesh Pleasure Palace was going exactly as Alucard expected. Inappropriate, excessive, and making everyone uncomfortable. "This place is very pink," he observed, looking at the Baroque architecture covered in disturbing artwork. "Like someone's fever dream of what decadence looks like. Very committed to the aesthetic. I respect the dedication even as I prepare to burn it all down." The palace sat on a corrupted pleasure world, once an imperial resort planet, and now transformed into a monument to excess. Cultists in various states of undress wandered the halls, music throbbed from hidden speakers, and the walls occasionally pulsed like living flesh. "This is heresy," Sister Carmilla said flatly, her bolt pistol raised. "This is aggressive heresy," Alucard corrected. "Like someone read about sin and thought, but what if we made it architecture?" Very bold, very stupid. They advanced through the palace with a strike force. Carmilla, Vex, a squad of stormtroopers, and Alucard making everything weird. "Okay, tactical assessment," Alucard said, examining the layout. "We need to penetrate deep into their inner sanctum, thrust through their defenses, and achieve full entry into their central chamber. Very straightforward, very, if you make one more innuendo," Carmilla warned. "That wasn't innuendo. That was legitimate tactical terminology. Not my fault it sounds sexy." He grinned at her. "Although now that you mention it, penetrate deep is pretty suggestive. Thanks for pointing that out. I hate you. You say that, but you keep coming on missions with me. That suggests conflicted emotions. We should discuss them, maybe over dinner after we successfully breach this pleasure palace." "We are in a pleasure palace. This is not the time. When else would we discuss it? This is the perfect setting. Very romantic, lots of mood lighting, terrible music, but we can't have everything. Vex interrupted before Carmilla could shoot Alucard. Focus. The intelligence indicates the cult leader is in the central chamber. If we eliminate her, the palace's corruption should destabilize. Eliminate the head, body dies. Classic tactic. Alucard checked his guns. Although with Slaanesh cults, sometimes you eliminate the head and the body just gets more enthusiastic. They're very committed to their lifestyle choices. They fought through cultists, humans who'd given themselves entirely to excess, wielding weapons designed to cause pleasure and pain simultaneously. Alucard handled them with his usual mix of efficiency and commentary. Ooh, whips, very kinky, but terrible for actual combat. He shot 3 cultists. See, whips are all about showmanship over substance. Great for intimidation, terrible for penetrating armor. Stop, Carmilla shouted. Stop what? I'm being tactical. Whips can't penetrate standard flak armor. It's a legitimate observation. You know what you're doing. I'm killing cultists and providing educational commentary. He shot 2 more. Multitasking, very efficient. They reached a grand ballroom where dozens of cultists were engaged in activities that definitely violated multiple imperial regulations. Alucard stopped, surveyed the scene, and announced loudly, "Hello everyone, vampire here. I'm about to ruin your party. Please form orderly lines for purging." The cultists turned, weapons drawn, smiles too wide. "A vampire," one purred. "How delicious. Join us, experience true pleasure." "I've heard this pitch multiple times. It's getting repetitive." Alucard started shooting. "You people need new material, different sales tactics. This whole join us for pleasure thing is played out." The battle was chaotic. Cultists attacked with weapons that looked designed by someone with very specific fetishes. The stormtroopers maintained professional discipline despite the absolute weirdness of the situation. Alucard was having the time of his life. "This is amazing," he shouted, dodging a chain whip. "You people are committed, very passionate about your heresy. I can respect that even while I kill you." He shot a cultist wielding what appeared to be a pleasure-inducing las pistol. "That weapon makes no sense. How does that even work? Are you shooting people with good feelings? That's the worst weapon concept ever." "It brings ecstasy with every shot," the cultist explained while dying. "That's terrible tactics. Your enemies just feel good while you kill them, no deterrent value whatsoever." He shot 3 more cultists. "At least conventional weapons make people scared. Your weapons make them happy to be shot." Carmilla fought nearby, her power sword carving through corrupted flesh. "Can you please just kill them without analyzing their weapon choices? I'm providing feedback, very constructive." He dodged another attack. "See, this cultist has a standard chains word, much more effective. Traditional, gets the job done without trying to be clever." They fought through to the inner chambers, where the corruption intensified. The walls were definitely alive now, pulsing with borrowed heartbeats. The music became almost hypnotic. "This is getting weird," Alucard admitted, "and I have high standards for weird. This is like advanced weird, graduate-level weird." "The corruption is attempting to influence our minds," Vex reported, his psychic dampeners activating. "Resist. Do not give in to temptation." "Yeah, got it." Alucard seemed completely unaffected. "Been there, tried that, got bored. Slaanesh corruption doesn't work on me. I'm too jaded." They reached the central chamber where the cult leader waited. She was beautiful in the way Slaanesh corruption was beautiful. Perfect features warped into something wrong. Skin that shifted colors, eyes that contained too many pupils. "The vampire returns," she purred, recognizing him from intelligence reports. "Still resisting, still refusing her gifts?" Still killing her cultists and making inappropriate jokes about it, Alucard confirmed. You guys need better PR. This whole aesthetic is very off-putting. Have you considered toning down the excess, going for more subtle corruption? Subtlety is for the weak. Subtlety is for people who are good at seduction, Alucard interrupted. You're all just loud about it. Very amateur, very desperate. The cult leader's smile faltered. You dare. I dare because I'm unkillable and you're just annoying. He drew his guns. So, are we fighting, or are you going to try more seduction that won't work? Because I've got places to be, people to shoot, inappropriate comments to make. She attacked, warp energy lashing out. Reality bent, trying to overwhelm him with sensations. Every pleasure, every excess, everything Slaanesh promised distilled into a single psychic assault. Alucard endured it. Again. Because he'd felt it all before. That's cute, he said, shooting her while walking through the psychic assault. You're trying to overwhelm me with sensation, but I've got 3 million souls in my head providing constant stimulation. Your attack is like a whisper in a hurricane. He shot her again. See, this is why Slaanesh cults keep failing with me. You assume everyone wants more, but some of us just want less noise. The cult leader fell, her corrupted form dissipating. Around them, the palace began collapsing as the sustaining corruption destabilized. Time to go, Alucard shouted. Everyone out! Buildings coming down! Very dramatic! Great cinematography! They ran through collapsing corridors, dodging falling debris and panicking cultists. Alucard was laughing the entire time. This is great. Very action movie. All we need is a slow-motion walk away from explosions. Just run! Carmilla shouted. I'm running and providing commentary. Multitasking. They burst out of the palace just as it collapsed in a spectacular display of architecture, finally giving up on structural integrity. The entire building imploded, taking the corruption with it. Alucard stood in the wreckage, coat somehow still pristine, grinning like a maniac. That was satisfying, very cathartic, really worked out some stress. You seem to enjoy that more than necessary, Carmilla observed. Of course I enjoyed it. We successfully assaulted a pleasure palace, killed all the cultists, and collapsed the entire structure. That's a good day's work. He looked at her. You didn't enjoy it even a little. It was satisfactory. Duty fulfilled. You're hanging around those Kriegers too much, learning their emotional suppression techniques. He grinned. But I saw you smile. During the fight, just for a second. I did not. You totally did. When that cultist tripped over his own whip, you thought it was funny. It was tactically advantageous. It was hilarious, and you enjoyed it. He was walking back to the extraction point now, very pleased with himself. See, sister, you can have fun during combat. Just admit it. I will admit nothing. Denial is just like with anxiety. We've established this. Behind them, the ruined pleasure palace smoked, its corruption finally purged. Another victory for the Imperium. Another day of Alucard making everything uncomfortable while somehow being effective. It was becoming a pattern. 3 days later, during a tactical briefing, Sister Carmilla finally snapped. So we'll penetrate from the north, thrust into their defensive line, and achieve deep entry into their... Stop! Carmilla slammed her hands on the tactical table. Just stop! Everyone in the briefing room went silent. Alucard looked at her with genuine surprise. Stop what, sister? You know what? The constant innuendo, the suggestive phrasing, the making everything sound like... She struggled for words. Like poorly written erotica, Alucard supplied helpfully. I'm just using standard military terminology. Not my fault it sounds sexy. You're doing it deliberately. You choose those words. You make everything uncomfortable. That's kind of my whole thing. Well, I'm tired of it. She was standing now, face flushed with frustration. Every single briefing, every tactical discussion, every mission plan. You find a way to make it sound inappropriate. I'm just being efficient with language. You are being deliberately provocative. She pointed at him. You know exactly what you're doing. You enjoy making everyone uncomfortable. Well, yes, Alucard admitted. That's not news. I've been very upfront about making everything weird. But why? She was almost shouting now. Why does everything have to be a joke to you? Can't you take anything seriously? The room was dead silent. Even Vex was watching with fascination. Alucard looked at her seriously. You want honest? Yes. Because if I don't make it a joke, if I don't find humor in the horror, if I take everything seriously, he paused, then 500 years of existence becomes unbearable. The weight of 3 million souls, the endless violence, the knowledge that everything and everyone around me will eventually die while I remain. If I don't laugh at it, I'll go insane. More insane than I already am. Carmilla stared at him. So yes, Alucard continued, I make inappropriate jokes. I turn tactical briefings into extended innuendo. I make everything uncomfortable because the alternative is acknowledging that existence is meaningless suffering punctuated by brief moments of violence. And I'd rather laugh than face that truth. The silence stretched. Carmilla sat down slowly. I didn't realize. Of course you didn't. Because I make it look fun. That's the point. He grinned, but it was softer now. The jokes, the innuendo, the constant weirdness. That's my coping mechanism. My way of processing 5 centuries of horror. If I can make you uncomfortable, at least I'm feeling something beyond the crushing void. That's actually really sad. It's survival. He looked at the assembled officers. But if it bothers you that much, sister, I can tone it down. Slightly. Maybe. No promises. No, Carmilla said quietly. No, I understand now. You need it. The humor, the deflection. I appreciate that, Alucard said. But also, the jokes are funny. Admit it. Penetrating deep into enemy positions is objectively hilarious phrasing. It's tactical language. It's both. That's what makes it great. His grin returned to full intensity. Come on, sister. You've been fighting alongside me for months. You have to admit, at least some of my jokes land. She was quiet. Then, the one about the orc mating season was mildly amusing. Mildly amusing. Alucard looked offended. That was gold. They don't have one. They're mushrooms. Comedy gold. It was acceptable. You laughed. I heard you. Behind your helmet, you were laughing. I was experiencing respiratory irregularity. That's called laughing. He turned to Vex. She laughed. You saw it. Be my witness. I saw nothing, Vex said diplomatically. I was busy not being here. Coward. Alucard turned back to Carmilla. Look, sister, I know I'm a lot. I'm inappropriate, unkillable, and make everything weird. But you have to admit I'm never boring. That's accurate. And you don't actually hate me. I tolerate you. You like me. Just admit it. He was grinning now, enjoying her discomfort. We're friends. Battle-forged companions. Trauma-bonded through violence. We are colleagues. Colleagues who care about each other and would be sad if the other died. He paused. Well, sad if you died. I can't die, but you'd be sad if I got really inconvenienced. Despite herself, Carmilla smiled. Just slightly. Yes, I would be concerned if you were inconvenienced. Concerned? That's basically love in battle sister speak. Alucard was delighted. See, progress, emotional growth, character development. You are impossible. I'm improbable. There's a difference, yes, I know. She actually laughed. You say that constantly. Because it's true, and funny, and you laughed. He pointed at her triumphantly. You laughed at my joke. Admit you enjoy my company. I do not entirely hate your presence. Close enough. He turned to the room. Everyone heard that. Sister Carmilla just admitted she doesn't entirely hate me. Mark this day in the historical record. Can we please return to the tactical briefing? An Imperial Guard colonel asked desperately. Of course. Where were we? Alucard examined the tactical display. Right, penetrating their defenses. Very aggressive approach, really thrusting deep into their territory. Carmilla sighed. Loudly. But she was smiling. You're doing it on purpose again. Always have been. Always will be. He grinned at her. But now you know why. And you're choosing to tolerate it anyway, which means you care about me. Admit it. I care about all the Emperor's servants. But you care about me specifically, in a unique way. Because I'm special. You're definitely unique. I'll take it. He looked back at the tactical display. Now seriously, this assault plan. We need to coordinate our approach, ensure synchronized timing, and achieve our objectives with minimal casualties. Thoughts? That was almost professional, Carmilla observed. I contain multitudes. He paused. Although we will be penetrating their defenses. That part's still accurate. Can't help that military terminology is inherently suggestive. You absolutely can help it. But where's the fun in that? He grinned at her. Come on, sister. Admit it. Life's more interesting with me making everything uncomfortable. She was quiet for a moment. Then, yes, it is. See? Growth, acceptance, friendship. He looked genuinely happy. This is nice. We're bonding. Through honesty and mutual acknowledgement of my terrible personality. It's not entirely terrible. Highest praise from Sister Carmilla. He turned to Vex. Did you hear that? My personality's not entirely terrible. Put that in your report. I'm putting vampire remains insufferable but effective in my report, Vex said dryly, as I do every week. Insufferable but effective. That's going on my business card. Alucard was clearly pleased. Right under fuck mothering vampire and above refuses to die. The briefing continued. Plans were made. Tactics were discussed, and throughout it all, Alucard made inappropriate comments, while Carmilla pretended to be annoyed but was actually, maybe possibly, enjoying herself. It was domestic in a weird 40k kind of way. And somehow it worked. Because sometimes, in the grim darkness of the far future, what you needed wasn't more grimness. You needed someone who made everything uncomfortable, refused to take anything seriously, and somehow made existence bearable through sheer, obnoxious persistence. You needed a 500-year-old vampire who turned tactical briefings into extended innuendo and called it emotional survival. And the 41st millennium, despite itself, was better for it. Alucard found Gazkul in the Orc battle barge's command deck, studying crude star charts with his knobs. The war boss looked up as the vampire entered. Boss, we's planning the next way. Wanna help? Always. Love planning violence. Alucard approached the charts. But first, I have questions. Very important questions. About orcs. What kind of questions? Reproduction questions. The command deck went silent. Every orc turned to stare at him. Your mushrooms, Alucard continued. You reproduce through spores. I get that. But do you have seasons? Times when you produce more spores? Orc mating season. We don't mate, Gazkul said slowly. We's fungus. Right, but do you have a season where you're more fertile? Spory? Extra fungal? That's not how it works. Because I'm imagining orc mating season and it's hilarious. Just thousands of orcs standing in fields, releasing spores. Very awkward. Do you do a dance? Make special sounds? How does courtship work for mushrooms? An orc knob spoke up. We don't court. We just fight and then we die and then the spores grow. So combat is your mating ritual. Alucard looked delighted. That's actually beautiful. Very efficient. You fight, you die, you create more orcs. It's like the circle of life, but with more violence and fungus. Why as the Humiorg asking about this? Another knob asked. Because I'm curious. You're a species that has completely eliminated sexual reproduction and replaced it with combat-based spore distribution. That's fascinating and also very funny. He turned to Gazgul. So when you fight, and I mean really intense combat, do you produce more spores? Is violence literally your reproduction? Basically, yeah. The bigger the fight, the more spores. So every time you have a war, you're essentially having massive species-wide reproduction? Alucard started laughing. That's amazing. You've turned warfare into procreation. It's the most orc thing ever. It's very efficient, Gazgul said proudly. It's genius. You've eliminated all the complicated biology, the emotions, the relationship drama. Just fight hard, die, make more orcs. He paused. Although that means every battlefield is technically a breeding ground. If you want to put it that way, yeah. I do want to put it that way, because it's hilarious. Alucard was grinning now. So when Sister Carmilla asks what we were doing during that last battle, I can legitimately say the orcs were reproducing. Very matter of fact, very biological. That's accurate, I guess. Do you have any control over it? Like, can you choose not to produce spores? Why would we do that? More orcs is always better. Fair point. More soldiers, more fighters, more participants in the war. He thought about it. So theoretically, the more violence in the galaxy, the more orcs get produced. You're a self-perpetuating war economy, fueled by your own reproduction cycle. Exactly. It's perfect. It is perfect. Horrifying, but perfect. Alucard leaned against the tactical display. So, follow-up question. Do you have preferences? Like, do certain types of combat produce better quality orcs? Is there like premium reproduction? The bigger the scrap, the bigger the orcs, Gazgul explained. So, yeah, good fights make good orcs. So combat quality literally affects offspring quality. Alucard was having way too much fun with this. That's selective breeding through violence, your eugenics but with mushrooms. I don't know what that word means, but it's probably right. This is the best conversation I've had all week. Alucard turned to the assembled knobs. Any of you ever thought about your reproduction, like philosophically? The orcs looked at each other. We just fight, and then there's more of us. You don't think about it. You just do it. That's so beautifully simple. He paused. Wait, do you have parents? Like the spores that produced you? Do you know which orc they came from? Nah, we just grow. All orcs is brothers. Communist mushrooms, Alucard laughed. You're a collectivist species with no family structure, shared resources, and universal brotherhood. You're the galaxy's most successful communist experiment, and you don't even realize it. We's not communist, we's orcs. Orcs are communists. You just do it through violence instead of theory. He was thoroughly enjoying their confusion. No private property, you loot everything. No class structure, the biggest orc is in charge, but it's merit-based. No family units, everyone's related to everyone. Your Marx's dream, but with more crumping. Gazgul processed this. So, we's the best at communism? You're the only successful version. Because you eliminated all the complicated parts and kept the sharing resources through strength bit. Date's pretty orky. Everything's orky to you. That's your whole world view. Alucard grinned at them. But seriously, the mushroom reproduction thing, do you ever feel weird about it, knowing you're fungus? Why would we feel weird? It's just what we is. That's healthy acceptance of biological reality. He paused. Although it does raise questions like, are you more plant or animal? Do you photosynthesize? Can you grow in darkness? These are important mycological questions. We's orcs. We grow anywhere there's a good fight. So you're combat-activated fungus. Alucard was delighted. You need violence to reproduce. That's the most metal thing I've ever heard. You literally cannot exist without warfare. Exactly. It's why the galaxy needs orcs. The galaxy needs lots of things, but sure, we'll say it needs orcs. He looked at the star charts. So this next way, realistically, how many new orcs will it produce? Lots of orcs. Maybe millions. Millions of new soldiers, all created because you had a really good fight. He shook his head admiringly. You know what? Humanity needs to take notes. This is way more efficient than our reproduction method. What's your reproduction method? Complicated, time-consuming, involves a lot of emotions and poor decisions. He waved dismissively. Takes 9 months and only produces 1 human at a time. Very inefficient. That's rubbish. Just fight more and make spores. If only it were that simple. Alucard grinned. Although, can you imagine? Humans reproducing through combat? Every war produces millions of new soldiers? Actually, scratch that. That's horrifying. Never mind. It's not horrifying. It's practical. For mushrooms. For humans, it would be a nightmare. He looked at Gazkul seriously. Although I gotta say, your species has figured out how to make warfare literally productive. That's impressive. Disturbing, but impressive. Thanks, boss. We's proud of being fungus. As you should be. Own that mycological heritage. He turned to leave. Thanks for the biology lesson. Very educational. I'm going to tell Sister Carmilla all about orc reproduction and watch her die inside. Why would she die? Because she'll be uncomfortable, and I feed on making people uncomfortable. It's my primary food source. He paused at the doorway. Oh, one more question. If you're mushrooms, are you edible? Don't eat orcs. That's not a no, that's a warning. Alucard laughed. Don't worry, I'm not trying to eat you. I was just curious, mycology and all. He left the command deck, leaving very confused orcs in his wake. The vampire is weird, one knob observed, but is our weird vampire. Gazkul said fondly, and he's good at crumpin', so he's all right. Even if he asks strange questions about reproduction, especially Din, keeps things interesting. The strategic planning session was going normally until Alucard decided to bring up the Emperor. So, he said casually, examining a tactical display, I've been thinking about your corpse guard. Every Imperial officer in the room went rigid. Inquisitor Vex closed his eyes. Sister Carmilla's hand moved toward her bolt pistol. The Guard Emperor, Vex corrected carefully. Not corpse guard. Corpse guard is more accurate. He's been dead, or mostly dead, for 10,000 years. That's corpse territory. Alucard looked around the room. Why does everyone look uncomfortable? I'm just stating facts. Because, the Imperial Guard General said stiffly, the Emperor is not dead. He sits upon the golden throne, guiding humanity, protecting us through his divine will. Right, but is he conscious, aware? Or is it just his psychic presence keeping the Astronomicon running while his actual mind is gone? Alucard leaned against the table. Because from what I understand, he's been in that state for 10,000 years. That's not living. That's not even existing. That's just enduring. The Emperor endures for humanity, Carmilla said firmly. But does he want to? Has anyone asked him? Alucard grinned. Because here's what I'm thinking. 10,000 years, on a throne, unable to move, unable to speak, just sitting there, keeping the light burning, while his empire slowly collapses around him. That's not divine sacrifice, that's cosmic-level performance anxiety. "That is heresy," the general shouted. "That's therapy. Someone needs to talk about it." Alucard was warming to his theme now. Think about it. Your emperor has been holding it together, literally, physically, psychically, for 10,000 years. That's the longest uninterrupted performance in galactic history. And he can't even take a break, can't rest, can't stop. Just has to keep going while people feed him psychers and pray for his continued function. "The emperor's sacrifice is willing," Vex said carefully. "He chose this path to protect humanity." Did he, though? Or did his sons betray him, nearly kill him, and his followers were like, "Quick, put him on the throne before he dies," and he's been stuck there ever since, unable to communicate that maybe he'd rather just die properly? Alucard looked around. Has anyone considered that possibility? "You're suggesting the God Emperor wants to die," Carmilla said quietly. "I'm suggesting that 10,000 years of immobile existence might be worse than death. I've been alive for 500 years, and I find it exhausting. Your emperor's been going for 20 times that long, with no ability to move, speak, or do anything except power a lighthouse." He paused. "Also, can we talk about the stamina involved? 10,000 years of constant psychic output. That's impressive. That's legendary endurance." Are you making the Emperor's sacrifice sound sexual?" Vex asked, horrified. "I'm making it sound impressive. 10,000 years of uninterrupted performance, never stopping, always going, just constant output." Alucard grinned at their discomfort. "You people worship him for his sacrifice, but do you ever think about the practical implications? The sheer endurance required? That's not just divine will, that's cosmic-level stamina." "Stop talking," Carmilla ordered. "Why? I'm being respectful. I'm acknowledging that your emperor has been performing continuously for 10 millennia. That's worthy of respect, and also very uncomfortable to think about." He looked at the assembled officers. "Come on, admit it. You've never thought about it in those terms." "We think about it in terms of holy sacrifice," the general insisted. "Holy sacrifice that involves incredible stamina and endurance. I'm not contradicting you, I'm just adding context." Alucard walked around the table. "Here's another thought. The Emperor sits on the Golden Throne, right? Plugged in, hooked up, fully engaged with the machinery? Yes, the holy mechanisms sustain his... So he's been in the same position for 10,000 years. That's terrible for his back and his posture and literally everything else. Has anyone thought about his comfort? The Emperor is beyond mortal concerns like comfort. Is he, though? Because he's still got a body, even if it's mostly corpse at this point. Bodies need things, comfort, variety, the occasional position change. Alucard was enjoying this way too much. I'm just saying, 10,000 years in the same chair would give anyone problems, even a god emperor. The Golden Throne is not a chair. It's a fancy chair that keeps him alive. That's exactly what it is. Very complex life support chair. He paused. Also, does anyone else find it weird that your entire religion is based on a guy in a chair? Like, that's your central image. Man sitting, very static. Not very dynamic. The Emperor's sacrifice transcends physical form, but the physical form is still there, still sitting, still hooked up to the machinery. You can't transcend what you're literally still attached to. Alucard grinned. Although I gotta say, the fact that he's maintained this for 10,000 years, that's dedication, that's commitment, that's someone who really believes in his work. Finally, a respectful observation, Vex said. Or it's someone who can't stop, because if he does, everything collapses. Alucard continued. Which is honestly kind of sad. Imagine being so important that you can't even die properly. Just have to keep going, keep performing, keep maintaining the light while your empire slowly falls apart. The room was silent. That's actually disturbing when you phrase it that way, Carmilla admitted quietly. Right, because when you strip away the religious reverence, what you've got is someone trapped in an eternal performance they can't escape. He looked at them seriously. I empathize. Because that's what immortality is. Existence you can't escape, and your emperor's got it worse than me because at least I can move. You're comparing yourself to the god emperor, the general said flatly. I'm comparing our respective situations. He's trapped on a throne, I'm trapped in an unkillable body. Both suck, just in different ways. Alucard shrugged. Although at least I can make jokes about it. Your emperor probably can't even do that, assuming he's still conscious enough to have a sense of humor. Of course he is. You don't know that. He hasn't spoken in 10,000 years. For all you know, he's been screaming internally this whole time, and nobody can hear him. He paused. Actually, that's horrifying. Never mind. Don't think about that. Too late. We're thinking about it. Carmilla looked distressed. Yeah, that's on me. Sorry. Alucard tried to recover. But hey, at least he's still functioning. 10,000 years and still keeping the Astronomicon running. That's impressive work ethic. Very dedicated. A+ performance review. Stop using work performance terminology for the Emperor's sacrifice. It is a performance, though. Literally, he performs the function of powering the Astronomicon. That's his job, and he's been doing it for 10,000 years without a single vacation day. That's terrible labor practices. Someone should report this to whoever handles divine employment rights. There's no such thing as, there should be. Your emperor deserves better working conditions, or dying conditions, whichever he'd prefer at this point. Alucard looked genuinely concerned now. Seriously, has anyone asked him what he wants? Recently, in the last millennium or two. He cannot speak, Vex said quietly. The Golden Throne sustains him, but communication is difficult. So you've got a boss who can't give instructions, employees who interpret his will through divination and guesswork, and an empire running on 10,000-year-old protocols that probably needed updating 9,000 years ago. Alucard nodded. That explains so much about the Imperium's dysfunction. We are not dysfunctional. You're very dysfunctional, but in an endearing way. Like a family business run by a comatose founder where all the kids are fighting over who's in charge. He grinned. And your founder's been sitting in his office for 10,000 years, unable to tell anyone what to do while the business slowly collapses. That is the most disrespectful analogy. It's accurate, though. Alucard looked at Carmilla. Come on, sister. Tell me I'm wrong. She was quiet for a long moment. Then quietly. You're not entirely wrong about the communication difficulties. See, even the battle sister admits it. He looked at the general. Your empire is running on inherited dogma from 10,000 years ago, interpreted by people who can't actually ask the emperor if they're doing it right. That's not divine guidance. That's institutional inertia. We have faith. Faith is great. But so is actual communication, which you don't have. He paused. Although I'll admit, the Emperor's done remarkably well given the circumstances. 10,000 years of powering the Astronomicon, protecting humanity, enduring constant existence. That's impressive performance. Very sustained. Very enduring. You made it sound sexual again, Vex observed tiredly. I can't help that endurance has multiple meanings. Not my fault your Emperor's sacrifice involves impressive stamina. Alucard grinned. But seriously, I respect him. What he's doing, the sacrifice, even if it's probably the worst existence imaginable. He's committed. He's dedicated. He refuses to quit. Finally, genuine respect. Oh, I've always respected him. I just also think he's in a nightmare scenario, and you people have romanticized it into religious devotion. He looked at the tactical display. But hey, that's humanity for you. Take something horrible and turn it into inspiration. It's very on brand. The planning session continued, but everyone was noticeably uncomfortable now. Thinking about the Emperor's situation in terms of performance, endurance, and 10,000-year stamina had made everything weird, which was exactly what Alucard intended. The Blood Reaver returned with friends. Specifically, an entire Cornete war band, 300 Chaos Marines strong, all dedicated to the Blood God and very interested in fighting the vampire who'd embarrassed their champion months ago. "Vampire!" Blood Reaver Kargoth bellowed across the battlefield. "I have returned, with brothers, to reclaim my honor." Alucard looked at the massed Chaos Marines and grinned. "Oh, you brought friends. That's adorable. Very supportive. Good to have a squad. You humiliated me, spared my life, treated our sacred duel as a joke." "It was a joke, a very funny one. You lost a duel and I let you live." "That's comedy gold." Alucard drew his guns. "So now you've brought 300 friends to help you reclaim your honor?" That's just proving my point. You needed help. We will crush you. Blood for the Blood God. Yeah, heard that one before. Alucard looked at Sister Carmilla beside him. You ready for this? 300 angry Chaos Marines who really want to kill me? It's going to be difficult, she admitted, checking her bolt pistol. Difficult but fun, very challenging, really test our compatibility. He waggled his eyebrows. Combat compatibility, our ability to fight together. Very important in team dynamics. Must you make everything? Yes. Always. It's my coping mechanism. We established this. The Cornate Warband charged. 300 Chaos Marines, all screaming prayers to Khorne, weapons raised, completely dedicated to violence. Alucard met them with equal enthusiasm. Hello, Chaos friends. Ready to experience disappointment? Because I'm about to disappoint you all. Very thoroughly. The first wave hit. Bolters fired, chain axes swung, blood sprayed. Most of it was Alucard's. He regenerated while shooting, his blessed rounds finding targets even as his body was torn apart repeatedly. This is great, very aggressive, very committed. You boys really know how to make an entrance. Carmilla fought beside him, her power sword carving through corrupted ceramite. There's too many. There's exactly enough. This is perfect. He shot 3 Chaos Marines. Very target-rich environment. Lots of opportunities for creative violence. Blood Reaver Kargoth pushed through the crowd, his dual chain axes whirring. Vampire, face me, one-on-one, like last time. We're not one-on-one. You brought 300 friends. That's very unlike 301. Alucard shot a Chaos Marine that got too close. But sure, let's do this. Round 2. Very exciting. Hope you practiced since last time. They collided. Chain axes versus handguns. Blessed silver versus corrupted ceramite. You're better than last time, Alucard observed, dodging an axe swing. Been training, very dedicated. I respect the self-improvement. I trained for months to kill you. That's sweet, very flattering. Most people just try to kill me spontaneously. He shot Kargoth in the shoulder. But you put in effort. That's commitment. That's passion. Stop talking like that. Like what? I'm being sincere. You cared enough to train, to bring friends, to make this a real event. Alucard dodged another swing, the chain axe missing by centimeters. This is basically a date at this point, very romantic. 2 combatants, locked in violent embrace. This is not... Kargoth swung both axes. A date. It's got all the hallmarks, anticipation, preparation, physical contact. Alucard ducked under the axes. Very intense eye contact. Well, helmet contact, but the principle applies. Carmilla, fighting nearby, shouted, Can you please just kill him without the commentary? I'm multitasking. Alucard shot Kargoth twice, killing and providing analysis. Very efficient. The Blood Reaver staggered but didn't fall. His armor was better this time, more resistant. The training had paid off. You're actually good now. Alucard sounded impressed. Last time you relied on rage and momentum. Now you've got technique, structure. You've been studying combat forms. I studied you, your patterns, your movements. You studied me. Alucard looked delighted even while dodging. That's dedication. That's borderline obsessive. I love it. You care. I care about killing you. Still care. Caring about killing someone is still emotional investment. He shot Kargoth's knee, making the Chaos Marine stumble. Most people just attack me randomly. You put thought into it. That's special. They fought through the chaos. Vampire and Chaos Champion, surrounded by 300 screaming Chaos Marines and one very frustrated Battle Sister. Your form's improved, Alucard continued his analysis. Better footwork, more efficient swings. You're not overcommitting anymore. Very good. A plus progress. Stop complimenting me while we fight. Why? You deserve recognition for your improvement. Positive reinforcement is important. He dodged an axe, shot Kargoth in the chest. See? Even while acknowledging your growth, I'm still winning. That's multitasking. You're impossible. Improbable. There's a difference, I know. You say that constantly. Kargoth actually sounded frustrated now. Why won't you just fight normally? Because normal is boring. This is entertaining. Alucard was grinning through the violence. Besides, you're enjoying this. Admit it. Best fight you've had in months. I am not. Kargoth swung both axes in a devastating combo that actually caught Alucard off guard. Both blades struck home. Alucard was bisected again, his body falling in pieces. Ha! Finally! The Blood Reaver raised his axes in triumph. 3 seconds later, Alucard regenerated. Good hit. Really caught me. Very impressive. What? How? Told you last time, I'm unkillable. You can cut me apart, blow me up, atomize me. Doesn't matter. I just keep coming back. He shot Kargoth while his body was still reforming. That's my whole thing. Immortality through stubbornness. The Blood Reaver stared at him. Then quietly, this is pointless. Now you realize. Alucard laughed. You brought 300 friends to kill something that can't die. That's terrible planning. Didn't you think this through? I thought, Khorne's blessing. Sufficient power. Khorne's great at providing rage, but terrible at providing strategy. Alucard walked toward him, guns holstered. Look, I like you. You're dedicated. You trained. You improved. You brought friends. That's all very admirable. But you can't kill me. Nobody can kill me. That's the point. Then what do I do? Kargoth sounded almost lost. You could stop trying to kill me and do something more productive. Help me kill other Chaos Marines, the ones who didn't train and improve. Alucard grinned. Think about it. You and me, fighting together, killing the unprepared ones. Very satisfying. Very practical. But you humiliated me. I spared you. That's different. I acknowledged you were worth keeping alive. He gestured at the battlefield. These other guys, they're just numbers. You're special. You put in effort. That matters. The Blood Reaver was quiet, processing this. You're trying to recruit me, he said slowly. I'm offering you purpose beyond mindless revenge, Alucard corrected. Kill me, you get nothing. I just regenerate. Kill other Chaos Marines with me. You get satisfaction, and I don't have to keep cutting you up. That's actually logical. I know. I'm very logical when I want to be. He paused. Although if you prefer, we can keep fighting. You can keep losing. And in 3 months, you'll come back again with more friends. But that seems exhausting for everyone. Kargoth looked at his assembled war band. Then at Alucard. Then at Carmilla, who was fighting through Chaos Marines with brutal efficiency. If I help you kill my brothers, Khorne will be angry. Khorne's always angry. That's his whole deal, Alucard pointed out. But he respects strength, and strategically allying with an unkillable vampire to kill more enemies. That's smart strength, very brutal, very cunning. That's actually Orky. Exactly. And orcs are doing great. Thriving, really successful as a species. He grinned. Come on, join us. Fight with me instead of against me. Make this interesting in a new way. The Blood Reaver stood silent for a long moment. Then he raised his chain axes. My brothers, new orders. The vampire is now temporary ally. The warband paused, confused. We fight with him against other chaos forces who lack his unique perspective. You're actually doing this? Carmilla looked shocked. He makes good points, Kargoth shouted back, and I'm tired of losing to him. That's the spirit, Alucard clapped him on the shoulder. Tactical pragmatism, very healthy, shows growth. This is insane, Vex said over Vox. You've recruited a Cornet Chaos Marine through logic. Not logic, pragmatism, different thing. Alucard looked at his new temporary ally. So, where do we start? What other chaos forces are nearby that you'd enjoy killing? There's a Slaanesh cult 2 systems over, Kargoth said. They've been irritating. Oh, I hate Slaanesh cults. They keep trying to seduce me. Let's go kill them. Alucard turned to Carmilla. You okay with this? Temporary alliance with Khorne worshippers? I'm processing, she admitted. You've made a Chaos Marine see reason, through inappropriate jokes and stubborn immortality. That's my brand. He looked at the assembled forces. Imperial, Orc, and now temporary Chaos allies. You know what? This is the most dysfunctional coalition in galactic history. I love it. It won't last, Vex predicted. Doesn't have to. We'll kill some cultists. Kargoth will feel better about his honor, and then we'll go back to trying to kill each other. Very healthy. Very circular. Alucard was already planning. Come on, everyone. We've got a Slaanesh cult to purge, and 300 angry Chaos Marines to help us do it. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, Carmilla said. Absolutely everything. Exactly. That's what makes it fun. And somehow, impossibly, the strangest alliance in Imperial history marched off to kill Slaanesh cultists. A vampire, a battle sister, an inquisitor, 300 orcs, and 300 Chaos Marines, all working together because one immortal idiot had convinced them it was more entertaining than fighting each other. The 41st millennium had never seen anything like it, and probably never would again. I'm going to Comora, Alucard announced during the post-mission briefing. Everyone stopped what they were doing. You're going where? Vex asked. Comora. Dark Eldar home city, in the Webway, very dangerous, very hostile, perfect for a very enthusiastic walk. He was checking his ammunition. I've been thinking about it since they tortured me that one time. Seems fair to return the favor. That's suicide, Carmilla said flatly. For most people, yes. For me, tourism, he grinned. Revenge tourism, very cathartic. I visit their city, make them uncomfortable, kill a few homunculi, come back, easy. The Dark Eldar will torture you for centuries if they capture you, Vex warned. They can try, but I regenerate. They torture me, I heal, they get frustrated, I escape. It's a whole thing. Alucard was clearly excited. Besides, they made this personal when they tried to skin me alive. Rude, very inconsiderate. Needs addressing. You want to assault the Dark Eldar capital because they were rude? Carmilla looked incredulous. Yes, also because it sounds fun, challenging, a real test of my abilities. He holstered his guns. Come on, you have to admit, walking into the most dangerous city in the galaxy just to be annoying. Very on brand for me. It's insane. I prefer improbable. He paused. Actually, no, this one's definitely insane. But I'm doing it anyway. How will you even get there? Vex demanded. The Webway is accessible if you know where to look. I've been studying, did research, very thorough. He pulled out a data slate with Webway gate locations. There's an abandoned gate 3 systems from here. I go through, navigate to Comora. Do some aggressive tourism, come back. Simple. Nothing about this is simple. That's what makes it exciting. He looked at them seriously. Look, I know this sounds stupid, because it is stupid. But the Dark Eldar think they can torture people without consequences. Someone needs to show them otherwise. Might as well be the unkillable vampire. You'll be alone, Carmilla said quietly. No support. No extraction. If something goes wrong, I improvise as usual. He grinned at her concern. You worried about me, sister? I'm concerned about Imperial assets undertaking suicide missions without authorization. That's battle, sister, for yes, I'm worried. He walked over, standing close. I'll be fine. I'm very hard to kill. Remember, Magnus atomized me and I regenerated. The Dark Eldar are just fancy space elves with torture fetishes. I can handle them. When are you leaving? Vex asked tiredly. Now, immediately. No time like the present. He headed for the exit. Should be back in a few days. Week, tops. If I'm not back in 2 weeks, assume something interesting happened. Wait. Carmilla followed him. You're going right now, without planning, preparation. Planning is overrated. Spontaneity is better. He paused. Although, if you want to give me a good luck charm or a fond farewell, I'm accepting both. She stared at him. Then, surprisingly, pulled out a small Aquila pendant. Take this. It might help. Sister Carmilla is giving me religious jewelry. Alucard looked genuinely touched. This is character development, emotional growth. I'm honored. It's just practical. It's sweet. He took the pendant, examining it. I'll wear it. Very close to my heart, which I technically don't need but have anyway because biology is weird. Just come back, she said quietly. We need you for tactical purposes. Tactical purposes. Code for we're friends and I'd miss you. He grinned at her discomfort. Don't worry, sister. I'm not dying in Comora. I'm going there to make them uncomfortable. It's going to be hilarious. He left before she could respond. The webway gate was exactly where the data slate indicated, a crumbling archway on a dead world, covered in ancient runes. Alucard approached it, feeling the warp energy thrumming. Okay, he said to himself. Step 1. Activate ancient alien technology. Step 2. Navigate impossible extra-dimensional tunnels. Step 3. Infiltrate the most dangerous city in the galaxy. This is either brilliant or the stupidest thing I've ever done. He touched the gate. Reality screamed. The webway opened. Definitely stupid, he called out as he was pulled through, but committed to the bit. Comora was everything the intelligence reports said, massive, impossible, built from stolen architecture and suffering. Spires reached into darkness that had no end. Slave markets operated openly. Dark Eldar moved through the streets with predatory grace. Alucard emerged from a side tunnel, looked around, and grinned. Oh, this place is terrible. I love it. Very gothic, very disturbing, really commits to the we're evil space elves aesthetic. He started walking through the lower districts, hands in pockets, looking entirely too casual for someone in the most dangerous city in the galaxy. Dark Eldar noticed him. A human. Alone. In Comora. They approached like sharks smelling blood. Hello, Alucard greeted them cheerfully. I'm a vampire. I'm here for revenge tourism. Can you direct me to the nearest homunculi laboratory? I want to return some torture they gave me months ago. The Dark Eldar stared at him. He's insane, one muttered in their harsh language. Or suicidal, another agreed. I'm neither. I'm just very committed to reciprocity. Alucard drew his guns. Now, are you going to help me find the torture experts, or do I need to start shooting until someone talks? They attacked. Alucard had expected this. What they didn't expect was for him to be this effective. Blessed rounds tore through their armor, his movements too fast to track, regeneration letting him fight without defense. "You're good," he observed, shooting while dodging. "Very acrobatic, very graceful, but you telegraph your attacks, very predictable." More Dark Eldar arrived. Then more. Within minutes, he had a small army pursuing him through the dark streets. "This is great!" Alucard shouted, running and shooting. "Very exciting, proper chase scene. Someone should be filming this." He led them on a merry chase through Comorra's lower levels, through slave markets, past torture arenas, across bridges of living metal. Every few blocks, he'd stop, kill a few pursuers, and continue running. "You know what your problem is?" he called back to them. "You rely too much on fear, intimidation, but I'm not scared. I'm entertained." Eventually they cornered him in a dead-end alley. Dozens of Dark Eldar, weapons drawn, smiles sharp. "Human," their leader purred. "You've made a terrible mistake coming here." "Have I, though?" Alucard holstered his guns. "Because from where I'm standing, you've made the mistake. Cornering something that can't die. Terrible tactics. We will make you wish for death." "Been there. Tried that. 500 years of wishing for death. Didn't work." He grinned. "But let's see what you've got. Show me this famous Dark Eldar torture. I'm very curious." They took him to a homunculi laboratory, bound him with impossible restraints. Began their work. 3 hours later, the homunculi was questioning his life choices. "Why won't you scream?" the ancient torture master demanded. "Because I've experienced everything," Alucard said cheerfully, despite being currently flayed. "You're just doing amateur hour compared to what I've felt. 500 years of death, 3 million absorbed souls. Your torture is like a massage in comparison." That's not how pain works. It is for me. I've recalibrated. 5 centuries of constantly dying does that." He grinned, despite the agony. "Although points for creativity, the skin-peeling thing is very thorough, very artisanal. You clearly take pride in your work." The homunculi backed away. "You're insane. I'm experienced. Different thing." Alucard's body regenerated, even as they tortured it. "See? Can't break what regenerates. Can't traumatize what's already broken. You're just wasting time." "Master," one of the assistants said nervously, "he's been regenerating faster than we can damage him." "I noticed." The homunculi was clearly frustrated now. "This is unprecedented." "That's me. Unprecedented." Alucard tested his restraints. "So, can I go now? I've experienced your torture, confirmed it's inferior to my normal existence, and I'd like to leave." Very politely. Without killing everyone. "You're restrained. You can't..." Alucard broke the restraints. Not through strength, through regeneration. His body grew new tissue that pushed against the bonds until they snapped. Surprise! He stood, body healing rapidly. Turns out constant regeneration makes restraints temporary. Who knew? He drew his guns. Now, about that revenge. Alucard fought his way out of Comorra, leaving a trail of very confused Dark Eldar in his wake. They'd tried to torture him. He'd been annoying. They'd tried to kill him. He'd been more annoying. By the time he found a webway gate back to Imperial space, the Dark Eldar had decided he was more trouble than he was worth. "That was amazing!" he shouted while running through the webway. "Best vacation ever. Very educational. Learned that Dark Eldar torture is overrated." He emerged back in Imperial space 3 days after leaving. Carmilla nearly shot him when he appeared. "You're alive!" "Obviously. Told you I'd be fine." He was covered in blood. Mostly his own, but grinning. "Comorra was great. Very hostile. Tried to torture me for 3 hours. I gave them performance reviews." "You gave them performance reviews?" "Very constructive feedback. Explained why their torture techniques were inferior to constant existence." He noticed she looked relieved. "You were worried. I was concerned about asset recovery. You were worried about me. Admit it. He walked closer. Sister Carmilla, did you miss me? The mission required. You missed me. He looked genuinely happy about this. That's friendship. That's caring. That's emotional attachment. It's tactical necessity. It's both. He pulled out her Aquila pendant, still around his neck. Thank you for this, by the way. Didn't protect me from torture, but it made me think of you while they were flaying me. Very comforting. That's the most disturbing thing you've ever said. I contain multitudes, he grinned, but I'm back, alive, ready for more adventures. What did I miss? Gazkul started a new war. Vex received orders about a Tyranid incursion, and the Blood Reaver's temporary alliance ended when he got bored and left. She paused. Standard week. Sounds perfect. Let's do all of it. He started walking toward the command center. Come on, sister. Violence awaits. And I'm feeling very energized after my Comora vacation. That wasn't a vacation. It was revenge tourism. Same thing. He paused. Although between you and me, they're building a reputation about me now. The vampire who came to Comora got tortured and laughed. Very good for my personal brand. Your personal brand is being insufferable, and it's working great. He grinned at her. Admit it, you're glad I'm back. She was quiet, then quietly. Yes, I'm glad you're back. Character development. Alucard looked delighted. Emotional honesty, vulnerable admission. This is growth, sister. Don't make it weird. Too late. Already weird. We're friends who care about each other and fight together, and occasionally you shoot me. It's a whole relationship. Despite herself, Carmilla smiled. You're impossible. Improbable. There's a difference, I know. She actually laughed. Welcome back, vampire. Good to be back. He threw an arm around her shoulders. She immediately shrugged it off, but less violently than usual. Now let's go find some Tyranids to kill. I hear they're trying to eat the galaxy. Very rude, needs addressing. They walked together, vampire and battle sister, toward whatever fresh chaos awaited. Behind them, Comora whispered stories of the unkillable human who came, endured torture, and left while making inappropriate jokes. The Dark Eldar would remember him. And more importantly, they'd learned that some prey wasn't worth hunting. The Tyranid incursion was worse than expected. Not just a splinter fleet, not just a raiding force, a full hive fleet tendril, millions of bioforms, descending on an imperial sector like locusts made of teeth and hunger. Alucard stood on a defensive wall, watching the swarm approach, and felt something he rarely experienced. Concern. That's a lot of bugs, he observed. 3 million bioforms, Vex reported. Conservatively, possibly more. 3 million. Alucard looked at his hands, thinking about the 3 million souls inside him. That's a coincidence, right? What are you thinking? Carmilla asked. I'm thinking. He was quiet for a moment. I'm thinking about level 0. Full release. Every soul. All at once. Not just for a few minutes. For real. That nearly killed you against Magnus, Vex warned. It nearly worked against Magnus, Alucard corrected. This time, I use it properly. Complete release. Full manifestation. Every soul I've ever absorbed, fully manifested, fighting as one army. That would leave you vulnerable, Carmilla said. Without the souls sustaining you, I'd be fully mortal. For a while. Maybe a long while. He looked at her seriously. But it would give us an army. 3 million spectral warriors against 3 million Tyranids. Even odds. Alucard, you don't have to. Yes, I do. He was still looking at the approaching swarm. Because this isn't about me being unkillable. This is about protecting people I care about, and that requires being vulnerable. He walked to the center of the defensive position, closed his eyes, and began releasing his restraints. Not the metaphorical ones, the real ones. The psychic locks that kept 3 million souls contained within one body. Level 0, he said quietly. Restraint system released, all souls manifested. Full spectrum deployment. Alucard engaging. Reality screamed. 3 million souls poured out of him, not as spectral shades, but as full manifestations. Knights in ancient armor, soldiers from countless wars, civilians, warriors, everyone he'd absorbed over 500 years. They formed an army, a real army, covering the plain between the Imperial position and the Tyrannid swarm. Alucard collapsed. Without the soul sustaining him, he was just human, mortal, vulnerable. Carmilla caught him. You idiot, you magnificent idiot. Had to, he wheezed. Needed army, to match theirs. The spectral army charged. 3 million souls against 3 million Tyrannids. The sound was deafening. Psychic screaming meeting biological hunger. Alucard watched from Carmilla's arms, barely conscious. Tell me they're winning. They're holding, she said, watching the impossible battle. Your souls are fighting, really fighting, like they're alive. They are alive, in a way. He coughed. 3 million second chances. To do something meaningful. The battle raged for hours. Spectral warriors against biological nightmares. Neither side could truly kill the other. The souls were already dead. The Tyrannids were consumed biomass. But they could stop each other. And slowly, impossibly, the Tyrannid advance halted. It's working, Vex reported, awed. The Tyrannids can't advance. They're confused. They can't consume the souls, can't adapt to psychic manifestations. Good. Alucard was fading. That's good. Stay with me, Carmilla ordered. You don't get to die now, not after this. Not dying, just very mortal suddenly. He looked up at her. If I don't make it, tell everyone. I made everything weird, on purpose. You're not dying, that's an order. Since when do I follow orders? Since now. She was holding him tighter than necessary. You don't get to sacrifice yourself. That's not your role. Your role is being impossible and inappropriate and making everything uncomfortable. Best role, ever. He smiled weakly. Did I ever tell you? You're my favorite person to annoy. Alucard, it's true. 500 years. Never found someone who shoots me and still cares. His eyes were closing. That's friendship. Real friendship. Stay awake. Trying. Very tired, though. Turns out, mortality is exhausting. The spectral army was fading now, their energy spent. But the Tyrannid advance had broken. The swarm was retreating, confused, unable to process what had happened. Victory, at the cost of Alucard's immortality. He's barely breathing, a medico reported. Without the soul sustaining him, he's just human. Dying human. Then save him, Carmilla ordered. Do whatever it takes. Sister, Vex said quietly. If the souls don't return, he might prefer. He doesn't get to prefer. She was almost crying now. He's ours. He doesn't get to sacrifice himself heroically. That's not who he is. Alucard's eyes opened slightly. Sister, calm down. Very touching, but excessive. You don't get to die, she said firmly. I forbid it. Forbid death. He actually laughed, weak but genuine. That's very stubborn. I learned from the best. Damn right. He was fading again. Souls. Coming back? Not yet, Vex reported. They're still out there, scattered, lost. They'll come back. Alucard said quietly. Always do. Too attached to me. To stay gone, even if they hate me. And slowly, gradually, like a tide returning, the souls began coming back. One by one. Dozens, hundreds, thousands. They flowed back into him, and his body began healing. There we go. He breathed easier. Told you. They come back. Very loyal, despite everything. You're insane, Carmilla said, relief evident. Committed. To the bit. He was recovering now, color returning. Did we win? The Tyranids retreated. You manifested 3 million souls as a real army, and you nearly died doing it. She looked at him seriously. Don't do that again. No promises. He sat up slowly. But I learned something important. What? I learned that letting go is scarier than holding on. He looked at his hands, feeling the souls returning. 500 years of absorbing souls, using them as armor, as power, and I just released them all, made myself vulnerable. For us, Carmilla said quietly. You did it for us. For you, for Vex, for everyone. He smiled at her. Turns out I care, more than I thought, about this dysfunctional family. Dysfunctional is an understatement, Vex observed, but it's our dysfunction. Alucard was recovering his usual energy. Our weird, found family of humans, orcs, temporary chaos allies, and one immortal vampire who occasionally becomes mortal. For dramatic effect. It wasn't for dramatic effect. It was a little for dramatic effect. He grinned at her. But mostly, it was because you're right. I don't get to die. That's not my role. He stood, fully recovered now. My role is being impossible, inappropriate, and making everything uncomfortable while protecting people I care about. That's oddly sweet, Carmilla admitted. I contain multitudes. He looked at the battlefield, where 3 million souls had fought 3 million Tyranids to a standstill. Did you see them? My souls? They were magnificent. They were fighting, Vex said. Really fighting. Like they wanted to. They did want to. Alucard looked genuinely proud. 500 years of captivity, and when I gave them purpose, gave them a chance to protect instead of just exist, they fought hard. He paused. I think they forgave me, a little bit, for absorbing them. You're getting sentimental, Carmilla observed. I nearly died. I'm allowed sentiment. He looked at her. Also, thank you for forbidding my death. Very touching, very caring. I was being practical. You were being a friend. He pulled her into a hug before she could stop him. Thank you, sister, for caring, despite everything. She didn't immediately push him away. You're welcome, I suppose. Character development, he released her. Emotional growth. Vulnerability acknowledged. This is very healthy relationship stuff. We don't have we absolutely do. We're trauma-bonded battle companions who care about each other. He grinned. Deal with it. Despite herself, she smiled. You're impossible. And you care anyway, that's friendship. He looked at Vex. You too, Inquisitor. Don't think I didn't notice you were concerned. I was concerned about asset loss. You were concerned about me. Alucard laughed. Everyone cares. Everyone's emotionally invested. It's beautiful. This is still highly irregular, Vex said, but he was almost smiling. Good. Irregular is better. Alucard looked at the sky where the Tyranid fleet was retreating. We won against impossible odds, through teamwork, friendship, and me temporarily becoming mortal. Perfect. It was terrifying, Carmilla said. Best victories usually are. He started walking back toward base. Come on, we need to celebrate. I almost died. That deserves recognition. you almost die constantly. But this time I meant it." He paused. "Well, I mostly meant it. Little bit of dramatic flair involved. But the vulnerability was real." They walked together. Vampire, battle sister, and inquisitor. The strangest friendship in Imperial history. Built on violence, inappropriate jokes, and genuine care hidden under layers of snark. It was dysfunctional. It was improbable. It was perfect. 6 months in the 41st millennium had changed Alucard. Not fundamentally. He was still inappropriate, still unkillable, still made everything uncomfortable. But he'd found something he hadn't had in 500 years. Purpose. Connection. People who mattered. He stood on the observation deck of Gazgkul's flagship, looking at the stars, thinking about everything that had happened. The battles, the alliances, the moments of genuine vulnerability. "Deep thoughts?" Carmilla asked, joining him. "Very deep, unprecedented depth." He grinned at her. "I'm thinking about how 6 months ago I fell into this nightmare timeline and thought, well, this is temporary. And now, now I can't imagine leaving." He looked at her seriously. "I've got friends. Real friends. People I'd die for. Well, become temporarily mortal for." "Same thing." "You've changed," she observed. "Still inappropriate, still impossible, but different." "I've learned that making people uncomfortable is better when you actually care about them," he said. "The jokes are funnier. The violence is more meaningful. The entire experience is less hollow." "That's very philosophical for someone who makes constant innuendo." "I contain multitudes." He paused. "But yeah, I'm happy." "Is this happy?" "I think this is happy. It's been so long I barely remember what it feels like." "It looks good on you." "Happiness or the blood?" "Because I'm covered in both." He gestured at his coat, which was perpetually stained. "Although the blood is mostly mine, and it regenerates anyway. So really it's just aesthetic." "The happiness," she clarified. "It looks good on you." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the warp swirl around the ship. "What's next?" she asked finally. "Everything." Alucard was getting excited now. More battles, more alliances with inappropriate factions, more making everyone uncomfortable while saving the galaxy. He looked at her. "You staying with me? Or are you tired of being my babysitter?" "I'm not your babysitter. You're my friend who happens to monitor my behavior for inquisitorial purposes. Different thing." He grinned. "But seriously, you staying?" "Someone has to make sure you don't start a war with the entire Imperium," she said dryly. "Might as well be me." "That's sister for yes, I enjoy your company." He looked genuinely pleased. "Thank you, Carmilla, for tolerating me, for caring, for shooting me occasionally, but mostly in a friendly way." "You're welcome, I think." She paused. "And thank you for being you, impossible as you are. Emotional honesty." Alucard looked delighted. "Character development. We're growing as people, well, as person and vampire. But the principle applies." Vex entered the observation deck, data slate in hand. "New orders from Segmentum Command. They want you for multiple operations. Tyrannid incursions in 3 sectors, Chaos uprisings in 5 more, Orc invasions in all of them." Alucard interrupted. "We'll do all of them. Very ambitious, very challenging, perfect." That's 30 simultaneous operations across 20 sectors. And I've got time, immortality, resources, an unkillable vampire, a very competent battle sister, a tired inquisitor, several hundred orcs, and occasionally a cornate chaos marine who shows up when convenient. He was planning already. "We'll split up, coordinate strikes, cause maximum chaos for the enemy and maximum confusion for everyone else." "This is insane," Vex said. "This is perfect," Alucard corrected. "The Imperium's collapsing, chaos is winning, Tyranids are eating everything, and someone needs to be the chaotic wild card that makes everything weird and uncomfortable. Might as well be us. Us, Carmilla repeated. You're saying us now. Of course, we're a team, a dysfunctional, probably heretical, definitely effective team. He looked at them both seriously. I know I'm a lot. I know I make everything complicated. But thank you for accepting me anyway, for making 500 years of immortality actually bearable. You're getting sentimental again, Vex observed. I almost died. I'm allowed. He recovered his usual grin. But seriously, next stop, everywhere. We've got a galaxy to save through violence and inappropriate commentary. That's not a plan. It's my plan, and it works. He headed for the exit. Come on, Gazgakul's probably started a new Ma by now. We should join him. Very exciting. Lots of opportunities for aggressive tactics and suggestive tactical terminology. Carmilla sighed but followed. Why do I tolerate this? Because you care, Alucard called back. Admit it, you care about the impossible vampire. Yes, I care. Victory! He pumped his fist. She admits it. Witnesses present. This is legally binding friendship now. That's not how friendship works. It is in my head. He grinned at her. Come on, sister. Adventure awaits. Violence beckons. Inappropriateness calls. They walked together through the ship. Vampire, battle sister, and inquisitor, toward whatever fresh chaos awaited them. Behind them, the 41st millennium continued its slow collapse. But in one small corner, one strange coalition fought back with humor, violence, and genuine care for each other. The Imperium had no idea what it had unleashed by letting Alucard exist, but it was about to find out, because this was just the beginning. Somewhere in the warp, the Chaos Guards watched their newest problem with mixed feelings. The vampire couldn't be corrupted, couldn't be killed, couldn't be stopped, and somehow, impossibly, he was making the Imperium stronger through sheer force of inappropriate personality. Khorne respected his violence, but hated his jokes. Nurgle was intrigued by his regeneration, but confused by his hygiene. Tzeentch was frustrated by his unpredictability, but fascinated by his potential. Slaanesh was annoyed by his immunity to seduction, but impressed by his commitment to making everything uncomfortable. And somewhere, in the deepest archives of Terra, a new file was updated. Subject: Alucard, Vlad Tepes. Classification: Omega-level asset threat. Status: conditionally allied. Notes: Subject continues to display unprecedented effectiveness while maintaining complete disregard for protocol, doctrine, and basic military conduct. Has formed unusual alliances with Xenos, Orcs, temporary arrangements with Chaos Forces, a Khornati warband, and somehow earned respect from Eldar Farseers. Recommend continued monitoring and occasional use for impossible operations. Warning: Subject's inappropriate commentary may cause lasting psychological damage to assigned handlers. Recommend rotating personnel monthly to prevent complete desensitization to Imperial doctrine. Additional note: the Emperor's original assessment stands: dangerous but containable. Monitor but do not engage. However, containable may have been optimistic. Subject appears to be self-regulating through personal relationships and desire to make everything weird. Recommend encouraging these stabilizing influences while maintaining ready termination protocols, despite their likely futility. Final assessment: the vampire is useful, impossible, and somehow exactly what the Imperium needs in the 41st millennium. May the Emperor preserve us all from his success. The report was filed, archived, and promptly forgotten by everyone except the clerks who documented the strangest asset in Imperial history. Meanwhile, Alucard was already planning his next very enthusiastic walk. The galaxy would never be the same, And that was exactly how he liked it.